Thank you, everyone. Welcome to our September ordinary meeting. I'll read the civic affirmation. We gather today to duly and faithfully carry out our duties to the best of our judgment and ability, the advancement of this district and to the benefit of all of our community and fellow citizens. And the Coorong District Council members acknowledge and pay respects to the Ngarrindjeri people, the traditional custodians of the land on which we meet today. We pay respect to all Australians who have made and continue to make a positive contribution to our culture, way of life in this country we live in and share together, Australia. Thank you. Welcome, everyone. First item is apologies. Councillor O'Hara. On the way. Everyone else here, thank you. I'm going to acknowledge you up first, Josh. So our Director of Roads and Infrastructure, Josh Bowen, is leaving us in a week or so's time. And after nearly 2 years of service with this council, I thank you so much for your steadiness. I haven't even thought of these words yet, councillor, so if you want to help. In what's a difficult department in a rural council to manage, the many tasks we give you, from a substantial road building contract through to toilet paper. We've had a discussion around. So I wish you well in going home and working with your wife in managing her thank you for it. Number 3, declarations of conflict of interest.
Anyone? Excuse me, Mayor. I'd just like to acknowledge the passing of Paddy Will Conley, 95 years old. Lovely community member again. She was on the Lower Murray District Hospital board for 10 years, and I'm using the old terms because that's when she was on the boards. The Community House Board, she and her husband Bob were integral in starting the Marching Girls of Tailem Bend, where the football club rooms are now. She was the secretary for one year, I think, of the Tailem Bend Football Club, and in later years didn't stop her telecross for years. So she will be sadly missed, and a wonderful lady. So thank you
for that. Sorry, I'll just
no, that's fine. I didn't tell you, so
there's no other acknowledgements before I move again. Okay, conflict of interest, councillors. Appears to be none. Confirmation of minutes. The ordinary meeting, including the confidential minutes, please, on the 19th of August 2025. Councillor Arthur is the mover. Councillor Bland with the second. Any discussion, councillors? Motion. All those in favour? Against, is carried unanimously. Number 5, adjourned business. We have none. Number 6, report by members. My report, councillors, is there. Any questions? Well, I think of what I've at Councillor Qualman.
Thank you. The 28th and 29th of August, Mr Mayor, the SA Algae Bloom Crisis Local Government Delegation Canberra. How'd you go?
How'd we go? I think it was successful. There was, I think, 7 mayors or acting mayors in the party, some scientists, some other people representing tourism and the like. I give credit to our state members of federal parliament, which from all parties, I might add, particularly Louise Miller-Frost probably auspiced most of this meeting with many ministers, including the Prime Minister. And I think we got as much attention as perhaps we could have hoped for. It was hard work getting home from Canberra. Everything that could go wrong with the flight went wrong, basically. But no, I think we had and I know that particularly the Mayor of Holdfast Bay was very grateful for the support of a couple of country mayors in the party. Last night I did attend the public. Councillor Bland didn't know I was in the room.
I hadn't seen you there at the beginning.
Well, 35, 40 members of the public, councillor, I'd reckon.
80.
Yeah, but a lot of them were from the department and their
Those
representatives.
seated in the.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Anyway, around the Algal Bloom, including the Deputy Premier, I might add, who chaired it, I suppose, a bit, or most of it, did she? Yeah. And I think it's become the principal problem or political problem in the state. The Algal Bloom, by the amount of effort they'd spent, I thought it was going to be a rock concert in the bowling club with all the screens.
it was pretty impressive.
Yeah, so they're obviously taking that extremely seriously, even though they probably, and I missed the early bit because I was at another meeting, haven't really got an answer for why. So yeah, so was it worth going to Canberra? Well, only time will judge that, but we did what we needed to do.
Thank you.
Other questions around my report? Local Roads and Works Conference. I think we gave a fairly humorous introduction, Josh, didn't we? Which promoted some discussions with people the next day, for me at least, around patrol grading and rollers, councillor, with people. What was it? Was it commented on? Hopefully in good light. But it was a pleasure to have them in our district as a thing. And I suppose what never ceases to amaze me is how many people do not know the motorsport parks there. That's the bit that sort of I find surprising. I think your report, councillor, covers a fair bit of the the makeup of the main day. I particularly enjoyed the presenter about safety at road junctions in the morning, whose last name's Beer, and then he led the evening's competition, frivolity, call it what you like. He was a very interesting, funny character. And Joel gave an excellent presentation on Friday morning in this chamber. You were here, around how we've been managing the Carcooma Road project with
You did a good job.
attendance of people. So I think that was a good outcome. You see, I continue to attend the drought advisory groups online. Don't quite know where we're going to end up there, and you'd be aware that I attended this last Monday and Tuesday the drought forum at Gawler in South Australia, the federal government auspiced one as well. The one thing became quite clear out of that is that from a farmer point of view, when there wasn't that many of us there, that a concessional or no interest rate carry-on finance loan was what was really required. What I would say is, though, that there was a lot of federal and state politicians and their shadows there. There's actually a very good turnout of agriculture ministers and their shadows. So, you know, they appear cooperative. But we'll wait and see. In the review of the Rural Investment Corporation, Councillor Peets, I'm trying to look for the right words, I think it's what it's called, RIC, as we might call it, is due for an announcement around its, not its future, but the way it's operating in November, December, the federal minister said. I'm going to go with Councillor Bland first.
Yes, Mr Mayor. I'll start with the two meetings on the 8th, CEO of Jalara at Meningie, and also the CEO of the State Emergency Services at Meningie.
Well, the CEO was DOC next to me, sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, no, not the CEO. We did meet with Jalara. Sorry, we did meet with Jalara. They talked about their concerns about their future viability, I think would be my, and how they might, with the new federal rules driving staffing levels and standard of staffing, it makes homes like them
viable.
Yes. And so looking at models of how they can stay viable. It was very good of them to flag that with us. And then we met with the representatives of the SES, including our local leaders there, particularly interested in their thoughts around the Narang Jetty, how important it was to them. Trying to have that meeting with them for a while. One of the issues is that the beautiful big boat that's at Meningie has to be rigged up, for want of a better word, to go into the water, which takes a considerable amount of time. And where's the future of the building for that was one of our discussion points.
Okay. And my follow-up one now is the 29th, you had a media interview with the Standard via phone.
I'd reckon that's around East Wellington Water. Would be hopeful.
No, doesn't say.
No. Could have been 2 or 3 things with Caitlin.
Okay,
Don't know. I think that's what it would have been.
all right, thank you.
Councillor Roundtree.
Thank you, Mayor. 13th of August, CFS meeting. Was there anything that's come out of that meeting that we should know about?
AGM, no. Not that I can recall.
That's all right.
There's a bit of a shuffle with our leadership, with our local volunteer leadership of CFS. Remember who it is?
Is there discussion
Paul
around?
Brumfield's now Deputy Group Officer, along with Rodney Lush.
I guess, is there discussions held at meetings about communicating with volunteers during times of fires, or how many volunteers are actually part of the CFS and those sorts of records? I just know they've had pages in the past, and now they go to text messaging. Those sorts of fire season get brought up at those CFS meetings.
Yes, to a degree.
Communication.
So the group meeting is a meeting of a representative of each brigade within the group, and we're a very big group, second biggest in the state. So there's all sorts of issues raised, and just in relation to communication, the CFS's position is still to rely as the last resort on pages. The only one that they believe is reliable enough. They're well accepting we're moving to what is called BART, the phone-based call-out and messaging service, but they still at this stage want to stay with pages
Okay.
as the base course position. Councillor Peach, you've got that look. You might know more than me about that bit.
Oh no, just had an interesting situation with Bart this past week where my phone had turned notifications off because it had been inactive. So there's still an issue with that aspect to it.
I just think it's one of the areas that let down the community during a fire is how they communicate with everybody, and not everyone can find their pages. The pages aren't charged. And I think there needs to be more done leading into the fire season about preparing everyone's phones, communication devices, so that people can respond quickly, because it becomes an absolute mess when people
First thing
can't.
turns to custard is communications in any big event. Sit in the command car with the commander. You see that very quickly. There's 3 standard versions of comms. There's now automatic vehicle locators. Some of the fire trucks have cell fire in them now, which gives them a better phone range. Probably the biggest issue, I mean, as a volunteer, is that we can go around the official radio command and control system by just ringing someone. That's probably, particularly in a country area where we all know each other. I saw Councillor Peach, I'll probably ring him and say, what's going on? And that does circumvent command and control in some.
Okay.
But nothing particular come out of it, I would have said so.
Okay.
I might just quickly talk about, I know it's not in this report, about East Wellington water consultation. Both the Wellington Hall chamber last Thursday. I thank the staff very much for the excellent organisation of it. We've got, I think, two driving forces, and then this will come to a workshop, Ash, won't it, in 2 or 3 weeks' time, just before
Next week.
Next week, there you go. I know public consultation won't be quite closed, but the general gist of where we're going will be. I think most people want it to change. Most people don't want to pay for it, would be the short. So we'll just get our thoughts together before early next week about how that can be handled. That would be long and the short of it at this stage. But I think we had a pretty good consultation. We're getting some feedback on email and all that, all the methods.
There's about 25 when we last looked.
Yep, 25. Councillor Bland.
Mr Mayor, I haven't a written report, but I would like to speak on the Algal Bloom.
Yeah, I'll let you do it now before Councillor Coleman's.
I'm happy to wait.
No.
Just on that, on behalf of Council, I presented to the Senate Committee last Friday. Unfortunately, the Mayor and Deputy Mayor weren't able to come, but our CEO was in attendance as well with me. We got to present sitting next to Alexandrina Council. And I think it was fair to say that it was probably one of the saddest days I sat into listening to what is happening around some of our coastline. And we probably sit in what I refer to as a niche area in comparison to their area. But having said that, not an area that is going to be or has been affected for a number of reasons. And this came out, and I'm happy to circulate the document that was put together with myself and staff, and circulate that once I tidy up the fact that I scribble all over it. I think a couple of clear points are that we have had a lot of research done, and I'm only going to refer to the Coorong at this point. I won't refer to some of the things that may be being done off the coastline. And that there's been a lot of reports, a lot of science already done, a lot of it still, as I understand it, sitting on the desk in Canberra somewhere, yet to have any actions done. And I think Alexandrina Council agreed with that. And yet there is more science now needed and required. And that, of course, we're talking millions of dollars to be able to do the science again without backup support for outcome. So that was probably the first point I'd like to make. The second one is around Coorong itself. There has been a significant algal bloom off 7 Mile Road that has dissipated for us, which we know is sitting in the Coorong, and should we get the right weather, it is likely to bloom again at some point. We've had some increasing winds, so depending on what happens offshore as to how it will increase in different parts of the Coorong. The reality is we're about to go into summer, and without adequate water flows, and this point has been made multiple times into the Coorong, and requiring due to be some support there, we can be in dire straits again. We're not just affecting people's livelihoods as our fishermen, and we have, 23, 24 fishing families in there, families that now have 30 odd children. It affects the whole community if they are unable to stay and fish. They don't come back, the children leave. We've seen that in the Millennium Drought. And I think if we don't see the waters back through there, it's going to affect the bird life. Was also talked about last night at the hearing in Meningie in relation to the community event there and the impact on the birds. A lot of our birds come from international waters, China, Japan, etc. Right now there's a bird flu possibility, so a lot more monitoring also needs to be done in that area. But if there is no habitat, there is also no birds. So we're not talking just fish, crustaceans, worms, birds. We're also talking about the livelihood of our own community, but yet hasn't fully recovered from the previous Millennium Drought. I'm going to leave it there because it is a huge subject that this council needs to be fully aware of. We are talking about potentially offering a space. I've spoken to Bridget this morning, to the CEO this morning, about a small space in Meningie on a reasonably regular basis so people can pop in to talk, at least the department having a space for communication, whether it be in relation to assistance, knowledge, where to go for finance, and how else to contribute to this opportunity, maybe citizen science. So thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for filling in last week when I couldn't go to Victor Harbour. Yeah, and I think the turnout of the state representatives last night at Meningie showed how serious they're taking it. It was led by the Deputy Premier and Council. I didn't miss the opportunity to mention where is rate deferment process up within the state government with the Deputy Premier. The other thing I just might mention in the somewhat seasonal pickle we're now in, because for at least the northern probably half of the council, we are not out of drought in my view. You can't seem to score a rain, and I drove last night from Canalpin to Meningie between these meetings, and I thought it's the poorest I've seen that area for in my life. And there also be worthy, so we've got algal bloom, continuing drought, but I just might mention our beekeepers in this scenario now with a different vector or varroa, is that the right word? I think from memory, this group now. Well, so good times never last long in primary industry.
I think,
take-home message.
Mr Mayor, we've potentially got the perfect storm.
Mm.
Drought, potentially a water drought. And as you mentioned, our beekeepers, I mean, we need as much assistance as we can get.
Can't pull a trick. Thank you. Councillor Kwame, but not forget you've actually put a report in.
Fine, Mr Mayor, it was a very good report by Councillor Bland.
Yeah.
As presented, I just probably could comment on the Local Government Association 25 Roads and Works Conference. Well done to the staff and that to organise to have it showcase our backyard, so to speak. And I just found it interesting, Mr Mayor, that the department will dip tie the two reps I just mentioned, the CEO in my report, but they gave a bit of a slideshow and a bit of presentation, but they didn't hang around for any questions, Mr Mayor. So
I couldn't even bail them up on the way out. They were offline.
yes, they were gone. So
They were gone. And I suppose the news out of that would be I never saw anything that was any project in our district.
yes, that's right.
I'd be up
There
for
was
it too.
nothing new.
Mhm.
Anyway, but at least they come.
Yes, that's right. But otherwise, it was well done. And on Friday, Joel recommend the facilitator done a good little workshop in here. And we had a good crowd of about 30, 40 people,
Yep.
Mr Mayor, on Kokuma Road. So that was good. Yeah, well, went well. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you. Thank you for that. Does anyone else want to mention anything they've been at? That's what we're here.
Yes, Mr Mayor.
Councillor Arthur, sorry.
I'm just wondering, Councillor Bland, there've been many meetings and many dollars spent on this Coorong with the looking after it, of opening to the sea. And, you know, that was a $70, $80 million project. Nothing seems to, it gets to a drawing stage and that's put in someone's bottom drawer.
It's sitting.
Nothing happens with it. I wonder if we could, as a council, follow up and find out where that particular project is at, or is it just stalled, or is it run out of money, or because it's a major project for the Coorong.
So we just let the CEO go. You're dead right, councillor. There seems to be
Exactly right.
exactly. So, Bridget, please.
So there was the committee set up, the Healthy Coorong, Healthy Basins, or the other way around, Healthy Basins, Healthy Coorong, that I was part of, as was Mayor Parks from Alexandrina. That was auspiced by Dew to look at that 70 million that came from the Commonwealth Government. It stopped operating probably about 18 months ago, but just after Christmas, we got a note, basically an update to say that the information and the structural drawings you were talking about, Councillor Arthur, had been sent to the Commonwealth, but we have not heard anything since then. So that committee no longer exists.
I would support, Mr Mayor, if I might, finding out where that report is in the program. It certainly was brought up at the Senate hearing. So any support we can offer in that, or with Alexandrina approach, finding out where that's sitting at the moment would be advantageous at the moment. The sooner the better. There's a number of options in there. We certainly should be at the table on what, and with community on what may or may not be something we want to see in the first instance. But right now, the biggest argument is for water.
And the last thing is Councillor Qualman and myself and the CEO, I believe, are going to Griffith next week after, Councillor. When is it? Yeah, Murray-Darling Association's AGM. Yeah, it appears that they've spent, or they've alleged to have spent a lot of money, and once again, they don't want to do anything. Be my short answer. We'll see if we can find out if there's any sort of tail end report that might be relevant.
Can I just make one further comment in relation to that? The other clear comment that was made was around the need to start replacing the barrages. This council put that up to the Commonwealth some time back at the Mayor Minutes meetings, talking about some sorts of options about starting that program. We know that that is an expensive program. We know that it will take a long time. And if we don't yet push that program to being there, it's only going to increase. Depends on whether you want to believe in climate and seawater rising, but there are already incursions.
If there's nothing else from elected members, we'll move on. Number
Just on
7.
that, sorry, Mayor, do we need to make that a motion? So
I wouldn't just yet. I think we'll see what we can find.
because we know the report exists, and I'm just wondering whether it would be more effective if it was moved as a motion so that it becomes on the list as something we have to follow up.
Through you, Mayor, I would suggest, councillor, no. When you say report, it's not something physical like it. I'm certain it's not a report as you're thinking of it. I suspect that some options have been discussed with the Commonwealth. I'll get some words around it and I'll come back to you, and then maybe that's the trigger for whether you want a motion or not. But at this point, that committee no longer exists, so it'll be just asking Ju where they're up to and what's
Do we
going on.
know how much money was spent on this committee? Like, I can imagine this would have been in the hundreds of thousands of dollars,
Well, look,
Going up.
well, no.
millions even
Let's
maybe.
just start with finding out there was outcomes. And
Because you see this a lot in government, you see a lot of reports done and then and we've said it here in the chamber many times, they get poked in the bottom drawer, and this frustrates me no end that we spend money on this stuff
Yeah,
and we don't get anywhere.
don't disagree with you, but state and federal process tied to Murray-Darling Basin. And that's why I think it's important that 3 of us are going to the MDA conference in the heart of the irrigator land.
What comes out of those conferences? I mean, where are we getting with anything practical? We've been doing these conferences for years. When do we ever get to the point where anything practical comes out of all of this, or does it just get talked about?
I
Isn't
think we'll get a sense of the support in, shall we say, New South Wales, Victoria, around anything for South Australia.
We know that already.
Well, maybe.
Well documented.
Maybe,
They've got
but let's just go
issues.
to into the heart of them, and you come back then to your political process, really.
So I question why be involved in these groups
That's good.
when we don't get anything out of
Well-
it? The talk fest goes on.
Yeah.
We don't get anything practical. We know the views of New South Wales and Victoria. We know what they think about letting any water come down the stream to South Australia. That's been documented for 10 years, longer even,
100 years.
whatever. So we're not actually
No.
shifting the dial at all, except we're looking like we're doing something because we attend meetings, but there's nothing practical coming out of this. Nothing that we can see. Nothing that's helping the environment.
That's why it's time.
We have to get serious.
To see what was in the report around the Coorong's health that may be enacted, and perhaps start to make some noise about it. We've let the bureaucratic process go forward, and at this stage looks like they haven't recommended anything, or nothing's been picked up.
So it's just shocking. I mean, that
I
should
know.
be front line, pay on the newspapers that, tax dollars wasted again on miserable report that does nothing for anyone
Yeah.
practically.
Not arguing with you about it. All right, I'm going to move. Petitions is nil. Deputations, I have nil. Actually, we've got a question in for public question time, I believe.
Oh, wow.
Is that the gentleman at the back? Is it Richard? Is it? Do you want to come and speak to it, or would you just let me want to read out what you wrote?
I can speak.
You can just come down and sit by one of those mics, please. You want to read? You want this back? I've got a copy of it. Now, Richard, you're from Trilby Road, Wellington East, and yeah, you just put your case to us quickly. We'll see how we go.
Simple terms. We moved, my wife, I moved here 3 weeks ago. We've got DA approval to put a dwelling on the block. We're living on the block in our caravan. We have no waste disposal. We have to go to the tip,
As in rubbish bins.
as in rubbish bins. Yeah.
Yes.
What we would like is, because we pay our rates, $660 a year, we would like bin collection, curbside bin collection. The truck goes past us every Friday because our neighbours have bins, and we pay our rates and we live there and we don't have a bin. And we'd like a bin.
Yeah, right.
Do you want me to help me?
Yeah. You will.
So, through you, Matt, generally with new dwellings, once we get a certificate of completion of the dwelling, that's usually our trigger to put a bin on the property. We then contact our contractor. I don't think, and I'll check, but I don't think there's anything stopping us from organising a bin from this point forward. Would that be right?
No, through the chair. Need to take it on notice, but I don't believe.
Oops, hang on, there might be a controversy here.
Waste Coopside waste policy says that habitable property and receive curbside waste collection. So it excludes explicitly vacant blocks.
And your block would still be,
Yeah, I'd like to argue that it is a habitable property because we're living in a self-sufficient caravan with power, water. Our toilet has a cassette, which we take to the dump point. So I would argue that it is a habitable property.
Okay,
could I suggest, Mayor, that we look at
we
it
look at
we'll set up a time with you to talk about it out of session and work out if it's possible under the policy. And if it's not, and you're keen, we can always bring a report back to council as an exception.
so my broad question in this scenario is the bin bank a possibility or is
No.
not in this scenario in that interesting area of Wellington East?
No, by the sounds of it, if the truck's already going past and servicing other properties on that road, then it is simply just,
You would need to revisit policy.
We'll have
yeah,
a look.
The policy doesn't allow.
yep.
And that's where in my letter, I asked them to reflect these sort of situations.
Each of the councillors can ask you a question. So Councillor Bland.
Yes, just whereabouts are you in relation to getting your house built? How far down the track are we?
We have developmental approval. The house has been ordered. It is at Selector Homes and Buildings in Adelaide. They are going to start production, I think, at the end of October.
Right.
And we're expecting it about 4 months later.
Right.
So basically your house will be on the block within 12 months and you'll live
Absolutely.
there in the short term.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Any other questions, Bridget?
Just one question probably to the Chamber. How quickly, if we needed to amend, does the policy allow for any special circumstances? It doesn't need to be fully amended to accommodate this sort of scenario, or is this something that's at the discretion of council to allow? I don't see any reason why they can't have a.
Mr Mayor, is available to anybody. You know, we have got people just out of town who request it and they pay for it. As long as it's within the scope of the,
But
within the bin bank process.
But we're
yeah,
talking about the
the
vacant.
clarification is that technically as per the policy, it's not deemed a habitable premise, so it's not entitled to a bin at the moment.
And the argument is that it is
And the
habitable.
gentleman.
we don't give them the bin, they pay for it.
Yeah.
So what's the problem, you know?
Oh,
No, I don't understand the issue.
Well, policy, it's the definition in the.
Not logical though, is it?
Councillor
Someone
Peach.
living there.
I think the core principle here is that for residential household waste, the policy has been written the way it has to try to capture that it's not for commercial. So I think it's the intent of the policy, maybe not the letter of it. I just wanted to clarify though, that this is an extra charge that will go on top of your rates once the bin is provided. I just wanted to make sure you're aware
Absolutely.
of that. Yep.
And we have friends living diagonally back from us who have moved there as well. And they get their house in December and they've been told no. I can't have a bin.
Well, it's interesting. Yeah, and I'm looking at the officer as to handle this. She gets the hard drop, unfortunately. Cool. Yes.
We need to discuss, I think.
So the officer's saying, so everyone can hear that it is probably a planning issue. So it brings together a few issues. They're always never quite clear. Apart from that, are you enjoying the lesser sunshine than Mildura?
Loving it here compared to Mildura, except for yesterday. Not a fun day.
This
We
afternoon.
lost our annex off the caravan. The awning has to be replaced.
Enjoy the
It was a fun day.
Monday. All right. Has you got any other part of the question you wish to talk to us about? All right. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Councillors, thank you for that. CEO will follow up and see what we can see if we have to amend our policy, just make a slight adjustment in the short term. Around because that's an interesting outcome, and I think it's fair to say, councillors, particularly at Wellington East, but I would think within all of our small towns there might be land rated vacant lots, which we want people to build on, and perhaps sometimes the starting point is caravan. The planning people, have a view. And up here I have number 10.1, councillors, State Disability Inclusion Plan. Recommendation there.
I have a question there.
Yep.
So when writing up this new plan, is there an idea of how long it will take, how much it costs staff to write the plan? Or is there a generic local government plan that will be rolled out to all local government or to all councils that we would follow along? Because I can imagine the plan would be fairly consistent amongst all areas.
It will differ from council to council based on size, urban versus rural versus regional council. So all of them are slightly different. The state plan gives you the overarching framework, and then similar to the plan we've got now, there will be items in it that this council will want to progress. And I would probably suggest that it's probably only one or two things under each category, because each of them will come with a budget. State government give us the framework. We, as a council, have to pay for what we want to enhance. So that's where the officer will do the work around, and there will be a workshop with you as councillors to determine what you want to see in the plan.
We won't be, through you, Mayor, we won't be outsourcing any of this work. It'll all be done internally to write the plan.
The plan is, as with the previous one, it's written internally.
That's the plan. Are you moving or questioning?
Question. And that is in relation to the 5 dot points. And I'm only going to bring up two of them, and that's number 1. And that is the inclusive environments and communities. All people dismally can participate as equal citizens and feel connected to their communities. I'd like to bring us back to a physical version of that, and that is our footpath plan that we developed some time back, which may need relooking at as things change, but we need to get back to doing our footpath plan, because you can't have connectedness in any form of community if you can't actually get there and have access. So I'd like to see us get back to that. I know that, or I have let in following some of the projects we've done, some of that footpath money has been spent elsewhere, but at no point in time was I fully aware that that came out of the original approved footpath plan when those projects were done. So that money has slowly been utilised in other areas, but we need to review that footpath plan. And if we're going to use it in another project, and I'm not arguing against the projects, we need to have some clarity around that. But we still need to keep working on that. My second point, and I'm sorry, Josh, I know you want to say something on that.
Go away.
My second point was around health and well-being. Health for most of our community now, as an aged and many with disabilities, is severely impacted across the Coorong Council areas just by the insidious withdrawal of services. And we've already seen that in Tintinara, Canalpan. It's starting to happen in places like Meningie, etc. So we need to put all our weight behind what health and well-being really means for across our council area. And I'm sure I'm not the only one who feels that. Whether it is vocal, part of a committee, is something that we need to move forward on as soon as possible.
You're not really answering any questions anymore, so I'm going to take it.
So the question there is, are we going to get back to the footpath plan, to put it bluntly? The second question is, are we going to be leaders on health and well-being in a much higher visual space?
So through you, Mayor, that what you want in the plan will be entirely up to you as councillors, and then it will be, if it's got a budget attached to it, it will be then slotted in for consideration in the 26-27 budget for further discussion. So that will be a process that takes place as to what, as a council, you want in that plan.
Thank you.
Yeah, I might just, in terms of the footpath expansion strategy, which I believe you're referring to, Councillor Bland, we've slotted the strategy or a discussion to be had with the R&I committee. It'll either be in December or March next year, noting that in the last couple of budgets, we've presented we've presented footpaths that to use that expansion money, and haven't necessarily focused on what was in that strategy. So We will be coming back to the R&I committee and then council at some point with a revised footpath expansion strategy.
Through you, Mr Mayor, my question really is that when a project is presented to council, or part of my question, is that to highlight that the expansion money for footpaths is being utilised in a project for these reasons. I'm not sure that that clarity has been there. And if we could make that clarity, if in the next 12 months we're doing that. But coming back to council, to the R&I committee is a good idea. Thank you.
Can I, I'll just say that during the budget workshop process, we talked about the bucket of expansion money, and whilst we may not have done a direct comparison saying, well, this is what the expansion strategy said we should be doing, that the park should be doing, we're going to be doing this one because of X, Y, Z. We did socialise that there was a bucket of money for footpath expansion, but we were choosing to do project over here rather than what was in the strategy. So
Apologise.
black and white, but it was.
I think it was black and white enough for me, but thank you.
Sure.
Councillor, the reality is that the costs of footpaths, like everything else, has blown out since that.
I'm aware, Mr Mayor, I just want clarity.
And I think you're right. We need to discuss whether we want to go on putting new footpaths in, not reinstating or improving or enhancing, is another word I've come up with, the present footpaths. And sometimes opportunity means some things jump the list. But I do need someone to move, please. Thank you, Councillor Bland. Councillor Qualman, are you seconding? You got a question or are you just seconding?
Just seconding it.
Thank you. So we're in debate, councillors. Your extensive report. Anyone? Councillor Arthur, you've got your hand half up.
Yep, sorry.
Half up. Does that mean you want to speak?
No, I'm writing. Writing, sorry.
Waiting, right. Well, I don't know how you're right up there, but
Well, you're taking a vote.
by that. Anyone else? Councillor Coleman.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Just the last paragraph in this report, I assume that we have a scheduled workshop. We're going to go through the 15 priorities. We are going to deal with it later on next month.
Okay. Councillor Bland, we're closing.
Closed.
So the council receive and note the report. All those in favour? Those against? That's carried unanimously. Number 2, early childhood education care. Councillor Roundtree, you want a question or?
I will move the motion, and I just wanted to, it was a good report, so I just wanted to thank you for the staff for the work they've done so far on this and for actually taking the issue of childcare seriously and getting into it. So I appreciate that, and I know the young mums of the Coorong are thankful too that this is being looked at. So I just wanted to make that remark.
Use your seconder. Councillor Maiden, I'm going to take. Councillor, you want to speak to it?
Through you, Mayor, just to say that the workshop we had with this report was really good, and this report's great. And yeah, I think we need to act on the childcare deserts that we've got, and basically agree with Councillor Roundtree.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak for or against?
Could I just ask the question of the CEO now, please? We've got this report, which come out, which everybody in the area knew. What are we going to do with it?
I think, through you, Mayor, I think in the report to Chamber that we've written that what we will do is now start to speak with the ministers involved in terms of funding around this. I don't think that we would be in a position to provide you with a proposal of what might be an option in this district until we speak with ministers around what might be grant opportunities. And so that's the next step. And so the discussions will be with the state government because of their involvement, but predominantly with the Commonwealth because funding for childcare comes from the Commonwealth. So it will be, the report gives you the leverage to have a discussion with the ministers about what's an option.
And I'd add that we will be anticipating this amongst some other projects to be talking to federal senators. One of the advantages of going to Canberra is I just get to know them all. And we need them on side driving us as not a special case, but we are at a relative disadvantage.
Yeah, because every rural area is in the same.
That's
Both
right.
they talk Mount Gambier, 600 places are required.
Yeah.
So
So I would anticipate that where the market can act, it will. But I think the report's quite clear. It says that we're not viable in the straight commercial market place. So I would trust that our federal and state government friends would look at servicing the part of Australia where the market does not want to act. That's why I think working on the last few weeks, getting in with some senators as fast as we can.
thank you.
Anyone else, councillors? Okay. Councillor Roundtree, you're closed.
Closed.
So it's council receive and note that report. I'm going to put the motion. All those in favour? Those against? That's carried unanimously. Number 3, the 2025 Annual General Meeting of the South Australian Local Government Associations. I'd appreciate if someone wants to be proxy, just in case my harvest comes on extremely earlier.
I
Or
could
anyone else that wishes to go for the day?
I've got something on Friday, but I could do Thursday if that helps.
Yeah, all right, but Thursday, it's only Thursday evening. It's
Oh, is
not
it? Okay.
It's not
Friday's the day. Yeah.
Friday is the day.
I already
I
have.
think from memory.
So, Mr Mayor, in representing you, if I might, we're talking about the voting.
Yeah, so there's several parts of that, and that's why if it's proxy, the vote for the maybe LGFA report as well. There's several parts that, if I was not to be able to attend, it would be the vote. You become the voting delegate. That's a Peach. You want to?
I'm happy to go on the Friday. I've got a meeting on the Thursday night.
Well, yes. So, councillors, we're happy with the Deputy Mayor, Councillor Peach, being the proxy. Is there other councillors wish to go in this motion today?
Mr Mayor, can I get back to you on the dates? I would like to go and I wouldn't require accommodation.
Looking at Ashley, does that matter? Do we have to nominate by motion or not?
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Items later for a discussion around voting processes. Today, in relation to that. Okay. So, and see, councillors voting delegates, and that Councillor Bland also attended this. Anyone else? If it's all, everyone's happy with that. Does someone move that way, please? Councillors Qualman and Roundtree. Yeah, Councillor Peach, you would go regardless.
Yes. Yep, I would like to. I haven't been able to attend them, and I've noticed it in the diary. So
So
We just want to be clear.
just want to be clear around that. That's fine.
unless I'm ill, yes.
No, that's all right, Ash. The words are presently fine for that.
Point 2.
Yeah, okay. All right, everyone's clear. I'm going to put the motion. All those in favour? Councillors Bowman and Roundtree. Councillors number 4, South Australian Coastal Councils Alliance terms of reference. Does someone need that to be sort of explained? Councillor Peach, you do?
I have a question.
Let's start with the question then.
The question, I think this is where it's coming from, is that we've been lumped in with Southern and Hills as a proxy in the terms of reference. The question I had reading it was, who will be the proxy for? So I gather we're going back to ask why we're not a voting member. Is that roughly where we're at? Yeah.
It's basically local government associations, 6 regions. We're the only one, the Murraylands Riverland, that falls into the Coastal Council slot, being considered that we should be part of Southern and Hills.
Well, I would have,
But you would be, yeah, I'm surprised, yeah. That's why we've got this report. should be considered on equal basis, particularly if we're contributing equal amount of money.
So it's a little confusing because it does list 4 councils as members, and there are only 4 councils in that area, including us. So why we would get a distinct proxy is different, and we don't have management responsibilities per the first term. So, yes.
Can I suggest for you, Mayor, it's never been clear. And so this is an attempt to go back. As long as council wants to be part of the alliance, we would be keen to clarify the exact points that you're raising, Councillor Peach.
Our status. Sorry, there is four councillors in that region. It does include Kangaroo Island. That's why. Nonetheless, I think we there's been a discussion some years ago around whether we should be with Limestone Coast on this, but I think we should be with Alexandrina at least on this.
Yes.
For a variety of reasons, and so that's why we've been put in that spot for some time. But I think the motion covers clarifying your points. I think.
Mr. Mayor, originally we were talking, we wanted to be with the Limestone Coast because it was continuation. It was the powers to be decided that we should go with Alexandrina Council because we're more to them. So my question would be, I've been to quite a few of these meetings and I don't really know what they're getting, what value anybody's getting for what they do. They have a lot of reports, a lot of talk, but there doesn't seem to be much action other than if there's any action that happens in the metropolitan area.
So they have a separate parallel grouping.
Yeah, but that's where the money goes. It doesn't go anywhere else.
One of the representatives went to Canberra, came from that grouping, the Adelaide
With the Senate.
Coastal Councils Alliance of the city, 7 councillors. Councillor from Onkaparinga. Yeah, I know your point. I suppose the challenge is, do we just not be in the space, or for a small amount, do we stay in the space?
Yeah. Well, I think the first meeting,
we're going to be careful that things like the Voting Facilities Fund doesn't get purloined into other things.
yeah,
Basically.
because I think the first meeting I went to with this, virtually Port Adelaide was underwater.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Yeah.
that was they're mapping in the future in next 30 years.
Yeah, well, get a marina in if you don't want one. I suppose I come back to, I think we should be in it.
Yep.
There's been a brief discussion in Maryland's Riverland LGA about way inland waters are treated, which is our region almost exclusively vis-a-vis, but it does dominate the space around probably jetties in particular. I mean, we just need to be careful that that space does not take all the money, and the river or other water-based recreation things can't be funded partially. And you're well aware we've got a report. We're well aware of our position on the Narung Jetty. So,
Mr. Mayor, I would support your comments in relation to staying in it. I didn't find it as value as a rep because we just don't seem to have any power. By adjusting the terms of reference, we have some opportunity, and we have a unique space that needs to be protected, and we have a number of jetties, etc. And you're right, the money gets eaten up, and we will still be the poor cousin.
okay. Other questions? I haven't got a mover or a seconder yet. Councillor Bland is the mover. You're a seconder. I saw Councillor Roundtree first. Is it right? Debate? No one wish to debate the recommendation or the motion? Oh, that's easy. If there's not, Councillor Bland will close. Put the motion as it reads in the agenda, councillors. All those in favour? Those against? It's carried unanimously. Number 5, sorry. Local Government Association preferential voting for an LGA president. Councillor Peach.
I wish to move a varied motion.
You can.
So I'd like to move option 1, but that we also include that we view that process should apply to SAROC and GAROC appointments. I think the argument against doing so is incredibly weak in the report from the LGA. If you've got more than 3 participants, preferential voting works. And saying that there's not enough number constituent councils for it to work is a bit illogical. And I think it's a good opportunity to address that. So if we could, sorry, I'm speaking to it now, but if we could add that we include that the same preferential system for Gay Rock and SAROC elections as a third point.
Third dot point.
Yep.
Tend to agree with you on the lack of support for the other committees of the board. Councillor Roundtree, you the seconder.
Yeah, second, and I also have a question.
Yeah.
So the question is, in the report, it says that over the past 20 years, it has been rare for any president to be elected with a clear majority under the first past the post method. So my question is, how have they elected the president then if it wasn't clear how they did it?
First past the post.
But they said it wasn't clear.
So if it's the highest vote winner, so they may not get 50%, but if they've got 40% and the other two have got 30%, 40% wins.
Very short post.
So in this scenario, the 30% may get enough votes off the other 30% to get about 50.
And I think I also agree with the idea to treat council's formal vote as its resolution, and that becomes the vote rather than let someone go off and do the vote. So obviously there was a great discrepancy with what councils, we've seen it in the SAROC as well. But that.
I did have a question around that. Yeah. That wouldn't preclude us from having an in-confidence discussion around the vote, provided that the motion came out of confidence. Just wanting to understand from the government side, I wouldn't support it if we couldn't have our determination in confidence, because I think that could allow for undue pressure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
I just took that as a given, that it would be in confidence.
Well, probably it's well over half the councils don't do it in confidence.
But I think when we're actually ranking as opposed to determining,
yeah,
I don't see that as being something that should be done in public.
So people who want to watch how the vote's going have scanned everyone's council minutes to see, because every council gets an equal vote in this scenario.
Whereas they would still be, in what I just discussed, they'd still be able to do that because the determination would immediately come out of confidence. Yeah.
Well,
that tells you the answer almost before you even get to the vote, because once everyone's looked at everyone's minutes, they will know how it all goes anyway.
and as you'd be aware, thank you
Yes.
for raising the SAROC election, which turned to custard as well, which I ended up backing out, which is an interesting outcome. So I think from an administrative point of view, it's probably simpler and clearer. Executive officer, you send the minute, basically.
As our vote.
The change would be, one of the problems we have with that SAROC one was they wanted a confirmation of the minute. Minutes aren't confirmed until
To the following meeting.
Interested to see how much time frame they give it. And the other point would be that the next president will come from a SAROC present committee member. Right? But there's no guarantee, and it just happens to fall on what we call the country mayor's cycle, country representative cycle, that they will then be elected. As far as I can see, that issue has not been resolved yet. And that come about because, as you know, then Mayor Erica Vickery was the candidate and she did not get elected, which people think is a little bit of an interesting process in local government. Anyway, have I got a mover and a seconder with that little addition? And is everyone clear that our position would be that SAROC and Gay Rock go through the same process?
And Mr. Mayor, it's not just the president election for SAROC and Gay Rock, it's board members.
And we'll just take the president.
No, sorry, no president. No, leave it as it is.
Yeah, it's going to get interesting because the important part to remember about SAROC and Gay Rock is they are committees of the board. They have no other status than they're committees of the board.
No, sorry, it shouldn't be president elections though. Just elections, I think, is adequate because it was a two-part. It was a delegate election that caused the issue. Yep.
Parts of the way LGA is working are still, I think, in discussions at various levels. At the moment, the two delegates from this region is Councillor Ella Winnell and Councillor Simone
Ellie?
Bailey, thank you, from Mid-Murray. And the process of changing your SAROC representatives is quite complicated too. It's quite awkward. Okay, everyone's clear with the point 3 of option 1. Councillor Rountree is the seconder. Any further debate? Being none. You've closed.
Close.
You're about to. I put the motion. All those in favour? Against, it's carried unanimously. We move to State Records, council nomination of a representative. Have we asked any of the staff whether they would wish to be in this auspicious position?
No, we haven't met. Yeah. They're aware of it.
They're aware of it, but they haven't rushed us.
Good question.
Yeah.
Certainly knowledge is really important in this role. It's like,
Technical.
sorry,
Technical.
in that. So I'm definitely not favouring, all due respect to my fellow council members. I know what hospitals have to do. So I think this is probably something for staff to look at. I think also a staff member, if we were, would be a great learning in terms of their knowledge and be able to bring back. And I'm sure there are many things of us that we need to do in the future if we have not yet been able to achieve some of the stuff we need to do. I wouldn't even like to think of cost on sentencing records, etc. But I do think having someone on that board would have a twofold advantage to this council and any other small councils around us, where they could also be a resource.
The way I read this process will go to an LGA selection
Yep.
process, as per it does. At this stage, no staff have indicated an interest. Do you want to indicate your interest, Councillor?
No, I just
Oh,
definitely,
geez, I thought I was done.
I definitely don't want to do that, but I do think it's an advantage for staff
Okay.
members to actually learn, but also then they be a resource for some of our smaller councils that struggle, the knowledge, etc. But I also understand that it's another task. But it is a big task and it is our it is a big responsibility.
So are you of the view that you might want to move option 2?
Yes. No,
Steve?
no, that I would like to see a staff member do it. Option 1, but a staff member.
We're pretty clear that no one really wants to do it.
We haven't formally expected that we would do that. If it's not a council nomination, then number 2, and then, excuse me, I can go back and have a look.
Staff member unable to do it, then we move to option 2. I'd like to see the staff being given an opportunity. That internal knowledge would be important, but also able to contribute at a state level.
Okay.
Yep.
Ash just reminded me that if resolution is part of the nomination process, if nobody is named, then we can't nominate them. When's it close?
Through email, I would just go for option 2, then just receive and note the report. I'm happy to move that.
That's fine.
Councillor Roundtree's moving option 2.
Second.
Councillor Arthur is the seconder. Sorry, Councillor Bland, it looks like.
No, that's fine. It's just
Limitations.
staff development, I think, is important in this area, but
Okay. Councillor's clear that in relation to the State Records Council nomination, we just receive and note the report. The motion, all those in favour? Against, that's carried unanimously. Number 7, certification of annual financial reports. Not mean we've adopted them, councillors, but we're just authorising myself and the CEO to sign them. Someone want to move that way, please? Councillors Roundtree and Qualman. Any discussion?
Mr Mayor, I'll be voting against, as I do every year.
I know.
This is incredibly poor governance that we are voting to authorise you to sign a document finalised. And I wish my objection to be noted again.
Been doing that for 16 years.
Yep, doesn't make it right.
No, I agree with you. I wouldn't be signing something that I know what it's about.
But do you get to sign it again, or is this the only signing?
One thing you can be guaranteed of is I won't be signing it until council authorises it.
So why don't we?
I've been fascinated by it too, don't worry.
Why don't we move the authorisation to the point that we authorise the document? I still cannot understand why we are doing this separate of that process.
True. The fact that the auditors also look at this, and then it's submitted to the Audit and Risk Committee, and then it's submitted to council, and the documents sort of in their final state generally have that signature on them. But I can't probably give you more information than that.
A risky position for you, Mayor, to sign something that's not final.
Not risky. You haven't authorised it,
We
I don't
just
sign
keep
it.
doing it.
It's not, anyway, well, perhaps we might further investigate what we do out of session there, because it has been one of the more interesting processes, and I'll take the Deputy Mayor's position. We may note in the minutes asking as the thing. Nonetheless, I've got a mover and a seconder. Other debate.
Well, if we're going to move it, do we need to not worry about moving and seconding the motion and do something different then?
No.
We have to do this?
Well, there's a reason, and I'm sure if the Director of Corporate Community here would give us the reason. There is a reason, but
Mr Mayor, may I vary the motion?
well, no, you can't because you're not the mover or the seconder. But anyway, you can try the mover and the seconder if you want to.
Tell us what you
Can
want to do.
I would be adding the words following final authorisation by council of the statements or something along those lines. Following the adoption of the audited financial statements by council. Unless that's going to muck up something. Because you're looking at the 18th of November as the proposed date for the adoption of the financial statements and annual report.
Through you, Mayor, if it would be preferable, we can bring this back in October, and in the meantime, we can circulate a reason for being of why this actually exists. It's happened, as Councillor Arthur says, it happens every year. It's nothing out of the ordinary. But to satisfy your concerns, Councillor Peach, we can bring it back in October. That's still, timeframe still works, doesn't it? Yep. We can just adjourn it.
Wallman.
Just a comment. Thank you, Mr Mayor. It's interesting when you read the purpose, and it says to seek council authorisation for the Mayor and Chief Executive Officer to sign the certification of financial statements in their final form once completed.
So we're just giving you approval to do something
Correct.
when it becomes available for you to do it.
Yep.
That's how I read it. So
It's not.
why is it an issue?
Because we have, sorry, through you, Mayor. I think Councillor Coleman's statement then, if that was the motion, I wouldn't have an issue with it.
Yeah.
Because it's in the final form once it's been authorised. The issue I have is that we are giving carte blanche to sign documents in the motion as it currently reads that have not been approved by the chamber. And from a governance point of view, I just do not understand why would you sign off on that? You're giving somebody authorisation to sign the documents that are correct that you haven't even reviewed yet. And again, the point Councillor Coleman just made then, if that was the wording of the motion, I'd actually support it because it's progression.
Yeah, that's, why don't we just change the motion to be those words and then we're all happy?
Yes, it's too simple, the motion.
Yeah, well, I will move that we do that, those words.
Yeah. Councillors, I'm going to suggest that we may well be having a special meeting prior to the October meeting. Around a couple of subjects. I'm reasonably confident we probably will be.
Can I amend the motion then to reflect what Councillor Coleman just read out? And then you can go ahead and do it?
Yeah, well, you and Councillor Coleman have got the floor on this one. So, yeah, so if that's what you wanted to add, sorry, I'm just looking at the governance officer because I don't know if it's not at variance with it, no.
No.
Oh, well, it tells you.
It's the purpose. So if you just add in their final form once completed after 24-25, they're not completed until we sign off on them.
25 minute statement. Yep, in their final form once completed, take out the last. On the certification of the 24-25 financial statements in their final form once completed, full stop. Put the dates before financial statements. Certification of the, yep, there.
Yeah, I think that that is clearer. Because it says it in the document, it just didn't say it really in the motion. So that, I think, keeps it clear.
The mover and the second are happy with the motion.
Yes, thank you, Mr Mayor.
Yes.
No, that not amended, a varied motion is now the motion still. Anyone else wish to debate it? Okay, you close, councillor Roundtree.
Closed.
Put the motion as it is there and varied on the screen. All those in favour? Those against, that's carried unanimously. Number 8, Audit and Risk Committee sitting fees review. You're leaving at the wrong time, councillor.
I have a question.
Start with the question, yes.
So how much is this back pay going to cost council? Do we have a number?
It's a couple of the two longer serving and less than 100 for the other one.
Okay.
So this would simplify this process instead of obviously we've checked and found a CPI process that was previously in it.
Who found that?
And the other part is, and it's not dissimilar, it's not the same as the panel as well. Different, slightly different fee structure, but not dissimilar. Sorry, councillor Roundtree, I cut you off.
No, that's okay. I interjected. So how was this discovered? This oversight?
So there was a request from the sitting members that we have a look at it and review it. And it came up also that there was superannuation was also raised across the sector that this payments actually attract superannuation that no council had been paying or very few. And so it was just a matter of looking at the whole thing. When
We have to pay super as well?
We do.
Is that consistent with all other sitting fees for other committees? So all have super on top?
I'd have to take that on notice.
That's a can of worms. How?
Yeah.
That the elected members don't get super on fees.
Yeah.
So why is a committee of council getting super on fees?
Yep.
Could you circulate that, please?
Then do councillors get superannuation?
No.
Why not?
Neither of these.
Employees either.
Yeah, no, I'm fascinated by that little discovery for the last minute too, don't you worry.
We have someone circulate why there's. Yeah, they're sitting on a committee. I mean, what about our Section 41 committees that don't get paid? Should they be getting paid? Like this is.
This can's getting too big.
Yes.
So we've got some things have been raised here, but does that change the ability for us to pass this recommendation today?
Through you, Mayor, it doesn't. But can I just the superannuation is not mentioned in the change to sitting fees. So under what auspice are we actually? If it's superannuation on a sitting fee, it should be in the sitting fees. So we would actually need to adopt the superannuation as part of the fee structure that we're authorising. They're not employees. I don't know how the heck they're getting paid superannuation. Sorry, Mr. Mayor. This does not actually make any sense.
Welcome to London.
Not salary.
No.
It's a fee.
Mr Mayor, didn't there used to be legislation that told us how much we used to pay, and different sized councils used to have to pay more?
This committee, I
I
don't think.
can remember some years ago that we would get, like it was a bit like the allowance.
Audit and risk is a recent creation in local government.
Yeah, well, 5-6 years
Planning the
ago.
panel is an older creation.
So Mayor, with the Coorong Assessment Panel, which we did a
Yep.
couple of meetings ago, we raised them to $6 and $400, which seemed reasonable. Are they going to get superannuation as well? Justin?
I know.
It's a steady-
Well, the reason would be that they were probably set not within the terms of reference with the CPI. What is,
No, I just need to take that on notice.
we just have to take it all on notice because it's
Well, I think we should defer approving all of this because we might want to change that fee to include super
It's easiest,
if we have to.
easiest to adjourn me.
well, I haven't got a mover or a seconder.
I have a question.
I don't need to adjourn.
We'll bring it back in October.
Councillor Bland, though.
I have a question, and that is on 7.8. And that is in relation to video conferencing. Both committee members, 7.6, and that may, 7.7, partake in the meeting by video conferencing. So having sat in the room when I've seen both presiding member and other members on video conferencing, I find it a little disjointed and difficult. Particularly on an audit committee, and I'm not sure I'm the only one, but is that a requirement or is that us doing that? Because I think it's a committee that probably, unless exceptional circumstances, it's people to be in the room.
Especially for the fee they're getting paid.
It's happened, it's starting to happen a little bit. Didn't always happen, and I understand exceptional circumstances. But I don't want it to become the general practice. We could be sitting here as two councillors and find that we're basically dealing with a meeting online.
So you mean that it's pretty standard with other committees now. The only, and you're right, and I think the Audit and Risk Committee do it by exception. I think we have to acknowledge that the external members sometimes, they also work full time. So sometimes there was a special meeting, but if you don't have that in there, it does really stymie the ability to have something at the last minute, or if there is exceptional circumstances like you suggest, that person can't participate. So it is, I suppose it's an option just to make sure access is as wide as possible.
Would you, through the mayor, say at 7.8, after where it says but not by telephone, under exceptional circumstances, or put something in there that makes it
We decide.
7.7.
Or
You know,
so many
clear-
times per,
Urgency to deal with this, dealing with the back issue anyway.
Can this, through you, Mayor, can this be kicked to the Governance Committee meeting next week?
I think there's some more technical issues than even the governance committee could around superannuation. Committee, and it doesn't really matter which committee of council that may apply to.
Through you, Mayor, can the advice be provided to the Governance Committee? That committee was set up to look at terms of references.
But it's a bit unusual. Okay. I'm going to move on. I'm going to take it that there was no motion moved and the discussion will lead to a further report. Councillors, or a further information on this area report to the working party or council, because there's things that have been raised there which obviously are a bit interesting. We move to Acacia Board, number 9, which is a new audit and risk councillor to appoint, and I thank Councillor Coleman for his, how many years service, councillor, to say the thing, 6 or 7 years now you've been sitting through these meetings. I know you enjoy. But I thank you for the bag of minties, councillors. So, councillors, rest of us have got to, would like someone else to nominate. If that was we can have an election if you'd like, but Councillor Roundtree, you are putting your hand up to nominate yourself.
Absolutely not. I would like to nominate councillor Peach.
All right.
Second.
So right at the moment, under the new process, putting councillor Peach's name down, I've heard that someone else would like him to do it. I haven't heard if he's prepared to stand
I'm prepared to stand.
in person.
Exceptional circumstances was the word.
And one of the interesting clashes will be for the governance and them to consider whether the $200 travelling fee applies to that committee or the standard local government councillor's fee.
We don't get
No,
it as
they don't get
councillors.
it.
We get nothing.
No.
Any independent.
Yeah, but you'd still be entitled to travel.
Oh, yeah,
Our normal trouble.
yeah,
Right.
reimbursement.
Not the
Pretty
$200.
No, I go and see who else may, with this stage, I'm in option one. Councillor Peach is the nominee at the moment. Is there anyone else want to do it? I'm looking at the councillors and their hands are locked on the table. It's very hard.
Welcome
1,
aboard.
2.
Been there, done that.
Getting out.
So option one, councillor is in agreement. So can someone move the recommendation that council appoint councillor Peach?
I've
to the
already done,
Risk
I
Committee?
think it's already up
Done
there.
that.
Right.
Myself and Sharon.
Thank you. Your seconder, councillor Coleman, can't get it. We're going
Already
to
up
get
there.
on.
But no, Sharon,
Already up
councillor
there.
Bland's already done it.
Oh, right, sorry.
Well,
Okay, I don't mind either way. You're more than welcome.
councillor Bland, don't change it. Any further debate? Councillor Coleman, you'd like to?
Just make a comment, Mayor.
Certainly.
Yeah, please, before we wind this up, and congratulations to councillor Peach.
He hasn't been voted on yet.
Oh, well, I'm assuming, yes. Making an assumption. And I'd like to thank councillor Bland sitting on for the 7 years. I think you were on 7 years.
Yep.
And councillor Bland also makes a very valid point. I found it very difficult. It's probably might have been one of the contributing factors was too much video conferencing for my like. As you know, I struggle with hearing and stuff like that. But I know that's my own fault, but I would find it better face to face, and that made it one of the reasons I think why I decided to resign. I'm sorry that I've let the side down, but I have other priorities, and I think Councillor Peach will do well and truly a good job. I know he'll get elected, and I welcome him aboard, and thank you for your kind words, Mr. Mayor, and I'll still continue as elected member of my other roles. Thank you.
Very kind of you. Okay, the motion is that council appoint councillor Peach to the Audit and Risk Committee. All those in favour? Those against? That's carried unanimously. Number 10, grant of a lease, community land management plan for the Menangi Bowling Club. I'm prepared to move that way, please. Councillor Arthur. Is there a seconder? Councillor Bland. Debate. Councillor Arthur, you want to start?
Oh, I think it's a good result. Probably it's a bit changed from the leases we have been given, the 21 year, but is what they are asking for is a 10+10. So it's a win-win for everyone. Thank you. That's all.
Thank you. And it definitely, like, as a location for a community event, it's still really the only building in Menangi we can do like we did last night.
I think it'd be fair to say to council staff, all council staff, and the discussion is that the 10+10 was agreed on, looking at the long-term future, particularly maybe down the track, should they be able to have to move to a defined area. It wasn't necessarily the favoured option at this point in time, but it may be something in the future. And this was to allow for that without a lot of difficulty in the future if needed, and potentially the development. It's also interesting around the where it has been built, land, another day, about what has been built on the land, just in general terms of parklands, etc.
Councillor Peach.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just had a question. In terms of the community land management plan, what exactly was amended? It's not actually outlined in the document.
Yeah, I believe there was some wording added around enabling the leasing to the bowling club. So it was clarified.
And I'm going, it has to do with the category of land and the fact that it is leased on land that would not normally be leased. And therefore we're continuing with that practice to do that, but at some point in time down the track, and that's also a part of the whole 10 by 10 at this point in time, but given that we would undertake to work with the bowling club further down the track, should something change, we are definitely sitting on some land that was never meant to go into a community facilities.
Yep, thank you. Anyone else?
So, Mr.
Yep.
I noticed that one of the ideas that came through, or opposition to it, was about moving the bowling club to the sporting club. Why is that not supported more, that concept? Do we know about that?
Oh,
not the-
well, as I sit in the new sporting club sort of design proposal, the bowling club at this stage indicated they don't want to move.
Right.
But no one has been, want of a better word, forced to consider the club, and that's been led by basically the football club and the golf club at Menangie.
This lease that we're giving them, if they change their mind in 10 years or 5 years, does the lease allow for that to happen?
You can rescind the lease at any time.
We can? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say.
One thing you've got to remember is these are only ground leases. Everything on top, once the lease is rescinded, must be removed. So all the buildings would have to be taken away.
By them?
Yes, at their expense.
And then through you, Mr. Mayor, I mean, some of that land is designated parklands, which is
That's just
part of the comments, but it may take some time, and there is no doubt to build the sort of facility that would be needed, and working together at anywhere else would need significant support and grants. It wouldn't happen overnight, and that's a 10 by 10 gives us a chance to look at opportunities in the future. We're still waiting for the combined sporting ground to get off the ground, so we wouldn't like to see anything empty in the street of Menangie.
very close to a meeting around that too. Okay. Any further debate? There is none. We have, yes, thank you. Closing the recommendation or the motion is as it reads in the recommendation. All those in favour? Against? It's carried. With Councillor Peach voting against it.
Mayor, I had my hands up when you called for the close, but can I ask that the document be circulated out of session that actually shows the changes? I'm not voting against the lease, just make that clear. I don't want to vote on a document I don't actually understand the changes to.
Understood. Nonetheless, it's not unanimous. Carried. Minutes of the roads and infrastructure committee meeting held on the 2nd of September at Narang. One move that way, please. Peach. Councillor Arthur, is there any discussion around those minutes? Being none. Put the motion, all those in favour?
I wasn't there.
Doesn't matter. You're obliged to vote in this chamber.
You have to ask who votes against, and I can put my hand up.
Well, you can, all right. I'll start again. Those for? Those against? It's carried with Councillor Roundtree voting against it. Let's move to 12.
Mayor, I have a couple of questions on this one I'd like to ask before we vote on a recommendation.
Start with questions, yes.
When the report, it mentions that
There is a couple of anomalies, yes.
the swims will start at 2 p.m.
No.
Why was that changed?
Wasn't, it's an anomaly, sorry. Just get the CEO to read it.
So we, as we could be, that was the weekend swim starts at 2, the afternoon swim starts at 4. Nothing is changing in that
Okay.
respect.
I also noticed that you want to put 2 lifeguards on in the afternoon. Why?
That's staff. It's,
Sorry?
that hasn't changed either. So 2 is ideal, but it is staff or volunteers, I think, still do it as well.
You won't have 2 lifeguards in the pool standing there watching swimmers?
No. So
Okay.
nothing has changed for the afternoon swim.
So could we clarify that perhaps that it's a lifeguard and another person?
Yes, so we can we do that just at the document itself?
Because you need to change the recommendation because at 2A says all the wrong things and we can't really vote for 2A because it's not saying the correct stuff.
We can, I can read it out and you can either update the agenda with that particular. And last night they picked up the
Right, yeah, sorry, I could
issue
get it,
as
so-
well. Yep, so
And also I noticed that there is a request to start swimming at 7 a.m. Now that we're not pool testing in the mornings, can the 7 a.m. swim start or is it 7:30?
So, councillors, last night's committee meeting couldn't go ahead due to lack of quorum. Was there a view on that
no.
from the people that were in the room?
Well, it was expressed to me on the phone this morning on the way up that there was a view that 7 o'clock was previously on their minutes.
The ladies that were there last night, they rang me.
Yeah, but would that mean adding an additional hour or two? That was the only challenge, I think.
Well, why? Because it was explained that if we don't have to do the testing in the morning and it's just a matter of taking the pool covers off, that nothing really changed the starting time of the employee, that it wasn't that unreasonable. But if it's going to cause a problem, 7:30 is fine. What I had read was that it didn't cause a problem.
Can't remember why we left.
My understanding was that it wasn't discussed last night, but that is
Sorry,
what it is.
that would be agreed with. It was previously discussed at the committee that their request was 7. That's what they expressed.
I think through you, Matt, the important point to note here is that the staff involved will be 6:30. They'll still do what they normally do, and I suppose it could be 7 or 7:30. I don't think that matters in a sense. It's more about. My suggestion would be that we trial it for this year just to see what the attendance rate is, because it is an unknown. We've had 2 people, I think, who said they would start with the early morning swim, and I suppose it's a discussion in the chamber that changing the start time for 2 people, is that what you want to do from a council perspective? And if so, then I would suggest that it's a pilot for the year to see what the take up of that is in the community. And yeah, there's absolutely no it doesn't need to be 7:30, it could be 7.
Through Mayor, I'd suggest 7 as a pilot, and then we can do that, even if it was a mid-season review.
If it's not working, go back to 7:30. It is if there's someone wanting, I guess people want to do it before they go to work.
Yes.
And so if that half an hour, they're going to buy a season ticket and swim every morning, that could be useful.
I think the important thing to note is that these 2 staff members won't be replaced in the outdoor activity that they do. They will be in the pool doing their pool duties.
Yeah.
So that takes them away from their regular whipper-stipping and everything else they do during the pool season.
Yeah. Well, these swimmers that are starting at 7 would be finishing probably a half an hour earlier as well, so they can go back to whipper-snipping after that, I guess.
Well, no.
They'll be doing pool
So
testing.
if you're
after
talking
that.
7, in point 2, is it 7 till 10 or what?
Yeah.
We're tightening that up because I
Only 2
suppose
hours.
my sort of general overview of this is all of a sudden we're putting more hours available in the morning than the evening. Is that the way I read it?
No, nothing changes for the afternoon swim, but the testing of the pool and all the activity around that will happen in that break between the morning swim and the afternoon swim.
So
It stays at 7.
the changes that in relation to
3
point
hours.
2, do you want to add the words pilot or 1 year trial or something, just so that it doesn't look like it's a permanent change?
I think pilot's a good thing to put in, and that will, if people are keen to keep it, then they'll put the effort into making sure they get there.
And can we just note that it's not 2 lifesavers on for the afternoon swim?
Yes.
Because that's an immediate cost increase there.
There may be when they have the school carnivals and that, but generally one of them may be
Well,
supplied.
where appropriate, and I think Australia Day was mentioned by the swim committee members as being a day that probably would be appropriate. where they know there's going to be a lot of people there.
So I have a question, and that is around what happens when the appropriate staff or support persons can't be there? How do we notify that the pool won't be opened or will be modified? Because at any one point in time, the loss of one staff member may actually affect everything due to illness or whatever.
So that, not so much with the morning swim because that's, this is a new part, but generally if there is a lack of lifesavers, then the pool doesn't open. So, and the communication channels, and I'm looking at Trav, it's Facebook, generally social media, and I suspect the phone network is pretty strong as well at that point. Can I say one more thing? Just, I suppose, one more thing about staffing in that point, Councillor Bland, is that to date we have, and it's why we put in number 3, we have got 5 confirmed lifesavers. One of them who will only be available to Christmas for family reasons. So going back to 4 will always present challenges because a 5-day-a-week season with 4 lifesavers does make it quite difficult. And one of those lifesavers is also a staff member who starts her day early, so is generally not available for the afternoon. We don't think that the external provider will be a viable option. At first blush, the discussion with us over the last couple of weeks when we realised that we would have limited access to lifesavers again was that it looked okay, but the devil is always in the detail in terms of what the costs will be, and it appears, we haven't done a lot of work, but it appears that if we were to go with an external provider, it's probably going to add a cost to the council of about 20,000 a year.
Yeah. Thank you.
Councillor Arthur.
Feedback I've been asked to bring to council is, do we think it is $300 a morning virtually for 2 or 3 people to have a swim? $200 or $300 a morning for sometimes no people having a swim.
Yeah.
So, you know, the records that we asked for is given an average, which an average doesn't mean anything. You can have whatever you want there. But what happens when you got cold weather and no one turns up? We've still got two staff sitting there getting paid. And that is the question. And this is from locals at Canalpin who say, well, no one goes in the mornings. Why not? They have an alternative. Why not have the swim? They can put a couple of lanes in starting at 2 o'clock when the pool's open anyway. So that's just a budgetary process. The other thing is you're saying here about cleaning. I thought this was part of our contract, cleaning all the toilets and the pool area. So it wouldn't be staff involved, according to, you've got it here, that it's staff will be involved in cleaning. So, you know, we've got a contract to do that, haven't we?
I'm just looking at the manager.
So that cleaning would be general rubbish or drilling, it's not actual?
Not toilets.
So the answer is that it's not the actual cleaning of a toilet shower area, it's just the general
Tidy up at the surroundings.
It's the area which is same as they do versus down the main street or
any other
whatever.
public space, yeah. So councillors, we've got a variance to the motion or an addition. Councillor Arthur, you're right, that we probably need to see perhaps this season what the actual, your question from the roads and infrastructure meeting, what the actual amount of people are in that morning swim. And it's from 7 till 10, yeah, if it's a fair offer.
I'm happy to move the motion.
So you're moving what I call the additional motion, or the one with additions, councillor Roundtree. Is there a seconder?
So I'm happy to second, but it still needs to be put in about the staffing on in the afternoons changed.
Can we just correct that in the? You want to,
Because otherwise we're setting an expectation for 2 lifeguards, which I think is incorrect and unreasonable.
we just put number 4 amended in option 2 and just put that table back in with the amended.
I'm awaiting it. That's not going to happen.
Weekdays.
No, 1 lifeguard plus 1 other. It could be a volunteer, which has been the practice.
One of the things perhaps in the future we might need to do is be a bit more descriptive of the 2, 3 or 4 categories of what we do there is. I'm getting bush myself. Yep.
And 1 other, full stop. And that there's no changes to the afternoon swim during the week. And no changes to existing current timeframes.
I'll just ask the mover a question. Why would we extend the hours from what we can adjust the hours, which was 2 hours period before, the 3 hour period?
No, we're just moving half an hour back, so it ends at an earlier half an hour as well. So
But
it's the same time
At the present moment is 2 hours a day, correct? According to
in the morning.
yes.
Oh, it's 3
And you're
hours.
extending it to 3 hours when there's only 2 to 5 people using it. It's an extra. Why can't we, if you want to change the hours, but leave the period, it's still a 2 hour period?
I'd go halfway and do 2.5 hours, finish it at 9:30.
Well, just as a trial, I mean, if someone's turning up at 9 and wants to swim for an hour, well, and there's no one coming in at 7, that tells us we've got the times wrong.
It's still got to be there. If it's open 7 till 10,
It's a trial.
2 people have still got to be there.
Through the mayor, my understanding that there were some members that were waiting for the pool to warm up and have that swim later in the morning. And then we had the challenge of the people that wanted to try to work swimming earlier. And so the initial recommendation was to peel it back half an hour to close at 10 and open up a little bit earlier. There was an extension of the hours, but it was only half an hour. I think it was going to be 7:30 till 10. So there was going to be additional half an hour, but that was going to try and cater for late morning people and the early morning people.
And through you, Mayor, we've put the statistics in for the current situation. What's unknown on the statistics on page 45 of the paper copy is that we don't know what the extra early morning demand will be.
Through you, Mayor, is there a scenario if it's a morning swim and the weather's not great, that the staff member on board in the area would make a decision to say, look, there's absolutely no one here, close the gate and go on with your jobs, or do they have to physically stand?
If the pool has, through you, Mayor, if the pool is deemed to be open because the water temperatures are conducive and the temperature, the actual daily temperature is okay, then we have to remain open. I think it would be quite difficult to make random closing based on a staff member's feeling that there's nobody coming in.
Okay. Bring this to a result. We've got now a 4-point motion, which I presume the mover still endorses. Hello. You happy with the 4 points? You're the mover.
Yes.
Councillor Roundtree is the mover. Is there a seconder? Peach is the seconder. We're open for debate.
As part of that,
The movers come to 9:30 and the seconder, I believe. For point 2. Councillor Arthur, you can speak for or against the motion. Now we're into it.
no, it's a trial. So within that trial, I think we should have a record of what's actually happening,
We do.
of the times that people are there and the number of people that are there for this 25, 26 summer season. So with the acceptance of the mover and seconder, I'd like that to be included into the minute, or I can make it
Yeah, so what you're saying, what time exactly people drop in or leave, or?
the numbers and the times, yes.
So
So we've got some idea, if we've got one person coming in at 7:30.
Yep.
And one person coming in at 9:30, and we've got to you've got 2 people sitting there.
I would take with the word trialled that there'll be some records.
Right.
To support your case, councillor. I would think that's substantive enough.
We can add in.
We'll try and keep some records around who's in and out.
Through the chair, like for the season, and the data came from records that didn't show the times, but it showed the days and what how many people visited on those days. That's just obviously an average across how many days it was open, what the average was across, rather than providing a table that had 155 days saying on this date, this is how many people are in there. So I'm happy to circulate that information at a session to members. It's just
Well, you've got staff sitting there, it's only a matter of filling it in.
Yeah.
What councillor Arthur wants to see is, if we're looking at what times we want to open, is there more turning up at 7, or is there more turning up at 8, or is there more turning up at 9?
We can keep that data.
Okay, I'm truncating this process. We've had a fair discussion. So, councillor Arthur, you are speaking for or against the motion, or does it matter?
I'm still against the motion because the people that have approached me like to see at 2 o'clock, and it reduces the cost of the council of the pool. And I just like with the costings here that we were provided with, 186 or what it was, and so we must have saved some money on the 23-24, which was $240,000 running cost.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Okay, anyone else for or against? Okay, you're closing.
Yeah, just
We're now closing.
Thank you. In closing, this pool, as much as it gets talked about quite often, is a really significant asset to not only the Coorong district. It is our only pool, and we are grateful that it is our only pool, but it's a really big part of the Kinalpin town. And I don't know who Councillor Arthur talks to, but every single person that I speak to about that pool loves what it brings to the community and enjoys it. So, I know it costs us money. A lot of our assets cost us money, and we don't get a return on the investment like you would ordinarily consider in business, but it is still part of our rates. It's part of what we cover, brings a benefit to the town. It's the only thing that the caravan park that the town have, and they're very attached to it. So thank you. With that, I close.
Okay. Councillors, you're aware of the 4 points in the motion. I'm going to put the motion. All those in favour? Those against? Carried unanimously. 2 more before we have a quick break. Quite honest. Number 13, Railway Terrace of Granite Road pedestrian crossing improvements is a report. Councillor Wildman, you've grabbed the mic, so I presume you want to speak to it. Or move it.
Can I move it and speak to it?
You can move it. You can do both. You certainly can. Yep.
Yep, thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's a very good report. Thank you to the staff involved, and it's quite interesting, all the results coming back from the traffic counters, 3,500 vehicles through that intersection a day, 445 heavy vehicles of that. And this is or consigns with the expansion of Viterra out there at the site, and there'll be more trucks. Also, the Easter Tunnel Bend, we've got the anticipated development of over 100 allotments, so that's going to make even more traffic. So I think this is a suitable beginning of some suitable action to take to dealing with a lot of people's concerns about this heavy vehicles, well, not heavy vehicles, but heavy amounts of traffic through a very busy intersection. And this will help ease the concerns, and hopefully we can come to fruition of something to resolve the problems further down the track.
Certainly.
Okay.
Need a seconder. Councillor Maidment, thank you. You want to speak to it as well or not?
Thank you, Mayor, and through you, just to pretty much back up what Councillor Qualman said. The report's very good, and I think we have some more discussion about that later on this afternoon. Do we? With Canalpa, is that next week? Got sidetracked with the school.
Well, yeah, they come back today, aren't
Yeah, it's today. So that'll be interesting to hear that. And yeah, so no, just agree and hopefully get some funding for it. That'd be great.
they?
Yes, look, and I'm in favour of this project. There is safety. There may only, one is more clarity around in the conclusion, the first sentence, which is, it is proposed that a footpath renewal project be put forward during 26-27 annual budget process. Now, we already know that we have a footpath project that keeps slipping because we have multiple little projects that come in. This is much larger. There won't be enough money allocated to that. So is this now going to be a standalone footpath project because of the funding required already that we've had to do? Because I think there are many footpaths needed. This nearly needs to be a specific project.
Yeah, through the chair, it's probably, well, it touches across a couple of different, and the difference between what we're speaking about before, this is a renewal project. So there's part of it is renewal, and there is elements that will be new upgrade in terms of median strips and some of those pedestrian elements to the project. So it will be a standalone budget bid, and it'll encompass some renewal funding and potentially some new funding. And that'll be presented for council for consideration as part of the budgeting process.
And my other second part of that question is, have we looked at any opportunities for grants around this safety project?
Not yet. So and hence bringing it back to council and putting it on the public agenda, is we'll now have a motion, and hopefully we'll have a motion on the books that can be used for grant opportunities as they arise. So potentially black spots, way to go. There's a couple of different state government opportunities that we can potentially put a hat in the ring for.
And through you, Mr. Mayor, we get the criteria now for black spot, because at one stage you nearly had to have a debt before you got black spot, and I understand that's been changed. But
It's not quite that black and white anymore.
Yes, so whether we call it, somebody used to refer to it as a brown spot, but there was never any money. Would be good if we can get money.
Councillor Roundtree.
So the first part of my question was answered about, is there any grant funding available? The second part was, is there a chance to do this in stages? So I'm looking that if we put it in for the next year's budget, it will still be another 12 months down the track before anything gets confirmed, possibly another year before anything gets started. We're still looking at, 3 years before possibly we can get anything done. Is there an opportunity using these designs, which are great, to do a smaller chunk? For instance, the pedestrian crossing in the centre between the community centre and Railway Terrace. Is there a way to break it up to do bits that would have a quicker impact?
It probably depends on the grant funding and the requirements of that. But if there was an opportunity to chunk it into different years, then that's definitely an option. It would really depend on what grant we could find for it and how it fitted in.
Right.
My understanding, councillors, is that this is relating more to the actual junction of Granites and Railway Terrace and back to the railway line. And you can see there's a misalignment there actually at the moment. So I wouldn't anticipate it to be hundreds of thousands of dollars.
No.
And I think that will make it more attractive for a funding group body to fund it.
So it's 3, Matt, did you just say it wouldn't be hundreds of thousands?
No, I don't. You're talking about curb changes and pedestrian changes and protuberances, they're not.
They're
big hole, I
not,
think.
okay.
No, and through the chair, as part of the preparation in terms of budget bids for next year, if there's an opportunity to potentially stage it, that can be discussed then, and also obviously we'll have cost estimates, so we'll know sort of the quantum of what budget is required.
Okay. Then through you again, Mr. Mayor, can we please get the actual component of these plans that we're talking about now? Because when you read all of the plans, bigger than Ben Hur, which
That's
is
what I thought,
not
yeah.
saying that it's not, and I know we're talking about the crossing at the junction
Yep.
and a bit further around it, but can we just get one document that shows exactly what we're asking on here, have that circulated to us? I mean, it's in here and this is great work, this is the future, but
Yep. Just to clarify it a bit more,
I think so.
what this motion would apply to. I'm actually quite clear on it, but that's all right. Right, and just to keep in mind that a group of school students from Kermanuka, I think, are coming after lunch, which is coming up quicker, councillors. Any further debate? There's none. I'm going to close, Councillor Qualman. Close. The motion is as it reads in the agenda, the recommendation, councillors. All those in favour? Those against? That's carried unanimously. Let's just deal with, I'm going to have a quick break in a minute. Let's just deal with number 14, the Rung Jetty. The recommendation.
I'll move that motion.
You'll move that. Thank you, Councillor Arthur. You're a seconder. Councillor Roundtree, you're the seconder.
Yep.
Right. Any questions, discussions?
I think it's a very good report.
Yep.
And
Excellent report.
it'll go for further consideration.
Certainly.
Right.
Report to council in 3 or 4 months' time. That's what I read. Councillor Bland.
In the last page where it says 5 jetties located, Meningie Sailing Club, Meningie Lions Park, Hunter Park. I would be very surprised if Hunter Park is called a jetty. Definitely a small board work, but in fact it's not used for boats to tie up. It's a fishing, call it whatever you like, but it was never a jetty.
Deck.
It
Used to
sits
be a jetty, councillor.
further south, used to be a jetty, and this council pulled it out. We won't discuss that, Mr. Mayor, because I have a very strong opinion about why that was.
I wasn't there, councillor. No.
You don't want to hear it.
It's an excellent report as it points out that all water-based features eventually
Let's not
fall
call it
over
a
and
jetty.
give us a fair cost challenge. Anyone else? Councillor Qualman.
Just a comment. I've been looking regarding inspections, and I think this is time to emphasise in the chamber that we do a more comprehensive and more regular look at a more improved inspection what do you want to call it?
Regime.
Yeah, thank you. Because the Narung ferry seems to be, it was suddenly in a deteriorated state, and it seems to
Jetty.
getting.
Yeah, well, ferry's not, otherwise we've got a problem.
Anyway, I'm losing track here.
No, I think what he's trying to say is this feels like it was sprung on us quite quickly, that we've gone from 0 to 100. Now we've had this jetty that we've been slowly repairing and it's okay. And now it's absolutely not, and no one can ever use it. And it's going to be years before anyone gets to use that jetty. Again, looking at the amount of work that's got to be done. I think what Councillor Qualman is trying to say is that should we be doing more regular inspections to get ahead of these things before they get to this point? Or are we doing that and it just has taken us by surprise?
Then may I continue?
Yeah,
Now my thoughts a bit better. Apologise for wandering off. I just see these various jobs that were carried out from July 2015 and right to the August 2025. I'm sort of wondering why a lot of this deterioration wasn't picked up during all this work. And like you said, Councillor Roundtree, all of a sudden it's risen its ugly head, and wow, we've got this big job to do. And this is why I'm emphasising the importance of a comprehensive, regular inspections on all our jetties should be implemented, Mr. Mayor.
I think it says in the report, it will, or is. I might just make a comment. and I would have made this comment about political support for any project in this council, or any council does, is if staff feel that the councillors are going to say, well, we'll just put that off, they mightn't present the report. So sometimes the bad news is better presented early, or as early as possible. And I think it'd be fair to say that councillors, we've thought, oh, well, we'll just fix it up again. If I can think about my time in this chamber, and, you know, something like jetties, unfortunately, is quite a dangerous project. And I particularly raise things like our sewage system or our wastewater system as the hidden dangers in this council. And I think we're in a pretty good path at the moment with them. But if we're told something's in trouble, we probably need to believe it's in trouble. Right.
Basil, it's our own fault.
No, no. My point is that if you fail, ever staff are saying it is, you need to believe them, not necessarily our, dare I say in my own case, some sort of rural assessment I'd make.
Mr. Mayor, in the famous words of a previous councillor, it's not trust me, it's, and I think that's what, as a councillor, if somebody tells me it's a problem, then show me why it's a problem, and then you'll get the support.
One of the benefits of the latest technology in our agenda is lots of photos, because they do actually show us real clearly when things are not as good as perhaps they could be. Anyway, I am very close to Councillor Arthur. Right. So the motion is as it reads, councillors. All those in favour? Those against? It's carried unanimously. Councillor, I've got a 10-minute break, and I mean only back at 12:14, but please. We are behind time in effect, I think. Happy, Craig? Welcome back, everyone, at 12:15 from my clock. Information reports, 11.1. Councillors, there's a recommendation. We receive a note of the report. Someone move that way, please. Councillors Qualman and Rountree. Questions? Councillor Rountree.
Got one regarding the questions taken on notice at the last meeting. I must have not probably been too clear. What I'm trying to gauge is how long people wait to get responses in general, not just for the month of July. So out in the community, I hear, and whether this is accurate or not, who knows, but sometimes people say, oh, I contacted council a while ago and I've never heard anything back. And I'll say, did you put a CRM in? And they'll say, yes, and we still haven't heard anything back. And so I guess what I was trying to find out is what's the oldest request we've had, and how far do some of these requests go back? But what the report tells me, what the answer tells me, is that the oldest request on the books is from the 1st of July. And maybe that's true, in which case I need to follow, you know, where they submitted their question and to whom.
Okay. We can have another look to make sure that we can present the stats a little bit more clearly for that.
Yeah.
And if you've got a specific request, it's probably easier if you ask that person to contact us.
Yeah, I think that's what I'll do, is just get them to do it again, because I don't like hearing that we're not good enough, we're not answering these questions quick enough, which is why I've raised it a couple of times. But yeah, I think the answer you gave really only related to 1 month, and I'm really looking at a broader thing than that.
I would suggest, by councillor, that you ask that person.
Do it again, all right.
Councillor Bland.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. In relation to volunteer groups, I'm going to speak on the Podmore Site Working Group. As I've indicated in the past, that working group is in abeyance because they're pretty much not allowed to do anything when most of it's around weed management. So they're not doing site inspections and weed management at the moment because we're not allowed to mow, we're not allowed to use any implements, we're not allowed to spray. We can't get up a ladder to fix anything. So, and pretty much that's what's needed at the site, as you will know from the reports and photos I've sent through. And that was fortuitous that I actually looked through the fence and see the gate and went in and look. I haven't been in since the recent winds, and there's more today. I would hope someone is checking that site yet again. So could we actually change that from no current activity to put in abeyance? The community are a little disillusioned, but now that we have an outcome in relation to the Minister of Education, I'm hoping that we see some action there, and I will be speaking to the CEO later about that.
Note in the minute.
Just, we can put a note in the minute. I'm just, from staff's point of view, then particularly after a storm event, they will prioritise work in the community probably before they will prioritise the work that needs to be done in Wadmore House. So they will look first and foremost. We can have another look at what options are available. They do have it on their regular regime. It may not be as regular as some of the community want us to do there, but it's certainly part of their.
I would like to say that when the grass is 2 foot high and they only go in, and the comments made to me is that it's pretty much a last priority. If I can see the damage through the fence, anyone emptying the bin out the front can see the same problem. And all due respect to my staff, your staff, our staff, either they don't know, they need further help somewhere along the line in understanding a little bit more about how they report these things. I'm sorry, I'm a little bit irate about that one.
We'll take it on notice.
Other questions, councillors?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, just a couple here. We got Upgrade Forward Avenue and Northcote Terrace intersection, and it's down as they are going for a grant from the Safer Local Roads and Infrastructure Program. That was in the budget for this year. So is this, hopefully we're going to get a budget or a grant to cover that? Because it's deteriorating, and we fixed that photo that everybody saw with the witches had in the pothole. Well, that's been fixed up, but there's about 8 more there now. And it's just, the whole intersection is just one mass of cracks and it's just falling to pieces.
So your question is, are we going for a grant?
Well, yeah, is it subject to a grant, even though it's in the budget?
Through the chair, I'll confirm and I'll take it on notice, but I'm sure we've budgeted for it.
Yeah.
Paving, but the work will happen regardless. But I'll take it on notice and I'll confirm and let you know.
Okay. And the other one just interests me. Someone can explain to limited knowledge of all this sort of thing. A1 cameras for road and roadside monitoring and maintenance. Can someone explain what the hell that is?
AI. Okay, through you, Mayor. We've been approached by a supplier of this devices that they can attach to cars, which is a monitoring device, and they're happy that we trial it for them. So we are looking at an option to do that. Given the number of kilometres our staff travel over roads every day of the week, some device at the front that's capturing that information would be a godsend. And so we're just trialling that.
So this is something that will attach to our cars. So like Dean's going out checking on roads, perfect one for him.
Yep. It can do 2 things. It'll do the roads, and we also, depending on the cameras, roadside vegetation and things like that. So we're just having a trial to see what it looks like. And it's we're also looking with some work with the Mitcham Council as well around AI and this sort of facility as well.
Right, thank you.
Any other questions, councillors? Councillor Maidment?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Through you, just on page 165 on the computer side, just your meetings attended. Where's the date there? August the 26th, SA Roundtable, Gender-Wise Housing Investments. Can you explain what that is, please?
So it was a meeting of organisations across the state who look at housing, affordable housing. It did have a gender focus, but the good thing was I knew there would be people from Uniting Care and people who may be interested in the tennis court site. And as a result of that, it was about how philanthropic organisations, grant organisations could all work together for similar outcomes in terms of affordable housing. And as a result, I have a meeting now with Uniting Care, the woman who comes here often, and she's going to have a look at the site with me to see whether there would be a level of interest from them.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you.
Councillor Arthur again.
Sorry, just regarding page 164, the Salt Creek public toilets, have we got a final design for that? Have we got the final costing for that? How much are they going to charge us for it, for our depreciation figure? And also, have we got the details, because this was one of the things we were talking about, is what the cleaning regime would be, so we can work out what the annual cost is going to be?
I'm sure that we've
Given that.
provided that to council.
No, so if I may, Chair, support Councillor Arthur, I sent an email out a couple of weeks ago about this, and we never actually, my understanding is we never actually finalised what this costing was going to be. There was an estimation.
Cleaning, we probably haven't finalised yet, but we'll go back and check. I'm certain, but have another look.
Because the initial estimation was a lot higher than we had first
Well,
thought about.
the initial information was $25,000 a year for cleaning and $8,000 a year for depreciation. Now, that makes it as far as and I'd like to know what we're getting, but.
Well, and then my understanding was that the email had come back with a reduction, but not a finalised figure, and that we weren't actually going to have depreciation because they still own the asset.
No.
We will, they will.
We own the asset
We
because
own
it gets
it, yeah.
passed
It's
to us
been
upon
gifted to
completion.
us.
That's how I
Yeah,
understand it.
that's right. They give
Let's
our baby.
let's just let the staff go back and rework those figures. I know the discussion was around how much cleaning would be deemed appropriate by DIT.
Yeah, so my recollection is that we're going to mirror what DIT's cleaning regime was for similar toilets or similar facilities, and we received a quote for that, and we had revised the depreciation. We provided a more accurate figure for depreciation. Now, I thought we had communicated that to council, but if we haven't, I'll go back and get those figures and send it around out of session.
Okay. Councillor Bland.
Can we note that?
No,
Thank you.
Two quick questions. One is around the standpipe. In relation to the funding for that, how long before we will receive it? And I think it's important, given we're coming into summer, there are some areas that use standpipe water all the time for delivery, and I'll use 7 Mile Road as an example, as they have no water connections.
notice, councillor, what the timeframes would be.
Thank you. And the second,
Understanding is the staff are working on the actual
yeah,
design, so that now.
things get a little bit drier, it's probably going to be a little bit more.
Yeah, the grants have been, we are entitled to the grants. That's been confirmed.
Great, thank you. The second one is in relation to a question I asked on number 9, and that is in relation to sorry, I've lost it now. The location of the stormwater drain near the Meningie Sailing Club. I'm still a bit confused by the answer in that it tells me the location, and then it tells me that stormwater is considered to be rainwater that flows across the streets, gardens, roads, and that. I am not clear that do we have a gross pollutant trap there or not?
Yes.
I didn't think we did.
Oh,
No,
Oh,
sorry.
oh,
I
I'll
think
take it
the
on.
only gross pollutant, well, I may be wrong because there's a number of areas that go to the lake, but I know you just put it on the list for upgrade at some point, but the only gross pollutant trap I know is near the new charging stations there, and that was put in some time back in the Millennium Drought.
Let's just follow that one
We'll
up.
take that on notice.
sorry, yeah, I'll follow
I
that.
get the
But-
comments, but I'm
sorry,
not sure it's there.
effectively, stormwater can go out to natural water bodies. You can't deliberately put
Rubbish.
wastewater or rubbish or anything like that into it, and the EPA has rules and legislation around that.
Just knowing where the gross pollutant
Yeah.
traps are would be good because there's a number of pipes that go out into the lake, and I always thought they had duckbills on the end of them, which I don't think is a gross pollutant trap.
It's a rubbish collector.
Okay, other questions? Okay, I'm going to put it to the vote, receive the report. Those in favour? Against, that's carried unanimously. Number 2, corporate and community report. Councillors, someone move that way, please, that we receive and note the report. And there's a lovely photo of Josh. We didn't upgrade that photo, Josh.
I got a haircut.
We'll be sad to see you go, Josh.
Yeah, absolutely.
Someone want to move and second that, please? Councillors Roundtree and Bland are the 2 questions.
I have one.
Yep.
Mayor. Just on the work, health and safety, the IT security issue, how severe was that one?
What's the question? Could you repeat that question?
Yeah, under work, health and safety, the risk management, just on the bar, it says there was a IT security issue. I'm just wondering what that was or if it's serious.
Well, I'll take it on notice, but I would suspect it might have been spam email.
Okay. So you record spams.
We do. We
Yep,
keep an eye on
alright.
them. Yep.
Yes, Councillor Arthur.
Page 189, under capital projects, unsealed road renewal program. Scoping is currently underway for rubble quarry for the 25-26 unsealed roads renewal program.
But
We
not
have
on
an
that.
expansion on that, please.
But not on
We'll
that.
in a minute. We're in the previous report, councillor.
Sorry, I've got ahead of you.
You got
I
ahead.
do too, so.
I'm still in
My
corporate community.
apologies.
What other questions in corporate community, please? There's no more questions. I'm going to put the motion that the council receive and note the report. All those in favour? Those against? That's carried unanimously. Number 3, roads and infrastructure. You want to move that, councillor Arthur?
I'll move that way.
You move that way that we receive and note the report. Is there a seconder? Councillor Peach. Can I ask you, Councillor Arthur, well, we want to ask you, we know it's about the scoping of a rubble pit.
Yes, through the chair. So we're about to execute agreement with a property owner near Narung, which we had tried negotiating with a number of years ago, wasn't successful, but with Joel and Ash have, rekindled that relationship, and so we'll have a rubble pit down that way. And then we've done testing down in the southeast, but we don't have agreements ready to sign yet. But the material in both will be satisfactory for resheeting purposes.
Yeah, just on that point is a lot of people have questioned the quality. Settlers Road, wasn't it? Yeah. And you was going to have a look into it. Is anything?
Oh, sorry, is that the question about rubble quality for Settlers Road, or just?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll take that on notice, and I'll get back to you.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Roundtree.
Yeah, so a couple of things. What were the reasons for putting traffic counters on Substation Road? Like, to me, is that just, there's one house at the end?
At the moment, councillor, there's
Yeah.
an extreme amount of material being carted in there for another battery, I understand. I don't know if that's the purpose. It'd be interesting to know how much traffic is on that, and I understand while that's happening, council, they water the road, I think. I don't know. It's good road.
That was the original
Yeah,
discussion.
that was the original, And I would suggest you, there's 7 or 8 trucks a day when working on this job, and they travel via the Mallee Highway, Limekiln Road, and then back. They don't travel through the town.
So is the purpose to understand how many trucks, or if they're doing damage, or what is the purpose of it?
The purpose of accounts is for trucks,
How
not
many
necessary, but obviously we can then relate that to if there is damage to the roadway. And typically there'll be, with our traffic counts, if we've got targeted areas such as that example, that's where we'll put them. But we'll also, it's good to get data on our roads, and so there is a program of going to roads, and if we don't have something specific, we'll go back to that list and move through the network.
2 other points. I think the Meningie entrance sign looks great, so well done on that. But my last one was the Meningie toilet block upgrade. When was that agreed to as a capital works project?
That's
a new one or a repair?
No, that's just an upgrade of the toilet of the toilets themselves, not the building, just the mechanisms and the wastewater system.
I hadn't seen it turn up in previous reports.
It's one of the areas where we get every public holiday, the toilets down there fail, so they needed some love.
So yes, that's not the building itself. It's just the facilities within them,
the systems in particular. We
and
try
the wastewater system.
build date, which.
So my question is, why is it a capital in the capital projects report and not in a repairs and maintenance kind of?
It's an upgrade of those systems.
But if it's in capital projects, isn't that something we as a chamber decide on about what the capital projects will look like? Because all of the others on the list are all stuff I'm aware of. I just wasn't aware that we were doing this. And, I sent a couple of messages around trying to work out, did anyone else know that we're doing it? Because it wasn't clear whether this was just a cistern upgrade or a building upgrade, hard to tell. But I hadn't seen it.
Through the chair, this was an approved project
as a capital project.
As a capital project, yes.
It is. All right. Well, I went searching through online.
It's in the ABP, but it hasn't been on our capital project list prior to this agenda.
I went back through heaps of meetings and did not find it in the capital projects.
Right.
That's why we've missed it.
What is it called? Lions Park toilets.
So
So I was searching for something different. Maybe that's why, but okay.
So one of the broader.
How much is it going to cost actually? Because it doesn't say.
I'll have to take that on note.
Got it in front of us.
Very, very pricey toilets. Yes.
30,000.
$30,000, councillor. One of the interesting debates, discussions at the Roads and Works and several others, is when is a maintenance project become a capital project? At what point? And we have an audit and risk committee report around this, I think, or a position. And when is what I'd regard as enhancing an asset? Where does that sit? I'll give the example of road widening, as in sealed road widening. Is that enhancing an asset or what?
Yes. If it's white,
But that means at this stage it's a new capital project. So, it's dollars are dollars are dollars. Of a worthy debate. And in this toilet one, we think it'd be fair to say that we've been disappointed with the performance of the systems in that toilet since we put them in. Looking at Councillor Bland, but I think I was on the council.
how does
You were
it cost
too.
$30,000?
Because it's all
for this
internal,
bit?
it was all built internal so that it could not be vandalised.
Right, so you've got to go into the.
And the technology
building.
was just really not up to what we needed. It well, as
I think-
informed.
It would be fair to say that it was coming off the back of the drought, environmental. It was basically meant to be an environmental. I'm not going to go into all of the reeds and Blackwater, et cetera, that was meant to have gone into the system. A lot of that got dropped out pretty quickly. And we have this automatic system that was put in, was going to be hands-free. Since then, we have redone the floor, we have redone the seats, and now we're having to do the mechanism. And it just goes to say that keeping it simple, stupid probably would have been better. And I was there. We were in that council, so it was the thing of the day.
The request for quote has closed, and staff are evaluating those submissions now, so we'll have an accurate figure by the next meeting.
Hopefully it's no more than
Okay.
30.
Thank you.
Councillor Peach.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I just thought I'd comment on the Tinty Town Hall amenities upgrade. The Town Hall Committee met with Sam last week and was very productive meeting. We thank him very much for the time and the listening he did to the committee. So I think it was universally agreed that, if I may just pass some comment, that the airlock into the female toilets was not an appropriate spot for that to be. Just program that's in your agenda, as it created a choke point leading into the main hall. And subsequently, he has sent back another modified design. The committee will be having a meeting Wednesday night to look at. So yeah, just wanted to thank him for that input and really working with the practical experience of the committee from using the hall to get to a better outcome.
Now, if I'm an observer of the plans, does it still show the males having a trough?
It does, but with one extra cubicle.
And there, yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Sorry for the little technical bit. Councillor Bland.
One, a comment, and that is to thank staff for putting in the yellow lines down the main street of some sections of Meningie and around for safety. Caravan parking and truck parking across most of our driveways was becoming a slight nuisance to have to get out and wave them to so you can get out your gate. But besides that, can I just get some clarity around footpath renewal program for Faulkner Street in Meningie? Is that added on to or taken place of the current one that we haven't amended? Its scoping is currently underway for the 25-26 footpath renewal program. Quotations from contractor pending. And if I'm reading this correctly, I'm looking at, I'm assuming it's tramways and ramps on Faulkner Street. My memory is that Allen Street was the next one to be done. And I'm only referring to Meningie because it's across the whole council area. So when did that jump forward and what discussion have we had?
This is
Again,
footpath replacement, not new. That's the first point. So in the business plan for this year, Faulkner Street, nature of works, asphalt renewal, is that what we're proposing?
We're not, we actually are only renewing there. It's not coming out of the footpath. New footpath.
No.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
Renewal of an existing asset in the depreciated budget,
Okay, thank you.
not a new one. But it'll still be an asphalt one. It's an interesting street with the way that asphalt was built. Councillor Qualman.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Through the chair to Director of Roads and Infrastructure. Railway Terrace car park upgrade on page 114. We've got a bit of an update. Just wonder if you can get some idea of completion. And the reason why I'm asking this is that on Saturday the 13th, we have our Tail and Bend Christmas parade of which we anticipate 5,000 to 6,000 people. And I'm just wondering, hopefully we got that park sorted out. You can see what's going to happen, don't you?
Yep.
Could be a
Through
few
the
issues.
chair, we're out at tender at that for the moment. We haven't got construction timeframes yet. So I can take it on notice, and once we know, we'll be able to communicate that to members.
Yeah, it gets very busy and a lot of cars.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions, councillors? Okay. Have I put the motion yet, Ash? Okay. So it's moved and seconded. I'm going to put the motion. We receive and note the report. All those in favour? Those against? That's carried unanimously. Thank you. Right. Questions with notice? I have nil. Questions without notice, councillors? Councillor Arthur?
Got a couple, Mr. Mayor.
Questions without notice?
Yep.
Yes.
Has council put any had any input into the review of the two water allocation plans which affect our district, the Peak Warriobi and the Canalpin Tintinara water allocation plans, which are at the present moment being reviewed? We have licenses in both those areas, and I'm just wondering if we've had any input yet into them, particularly the Ryobi Peak. There is a bit of a problem.
Ryobi's a power tool, councillor.
Yeah.
Roby, it says
Roby or whatever.
Roby.
Yeah, because there is a pressure up there, and that is what supplies our Peak Township.
Have we had any input, or are we supposed to have any input?
Yeah, into the reviews.
Two separate boards working these two.
Yep.
I'll take that on notice and come back to you at a session, Mayor. They don't ring a bell in any way. And then generally those requests for input come through me, but there are times when it may have went straight to the officer involved. So we'll take that on notice.
Well, they're both in progress at the present moment, both of them.
There is some community nights coming up soon for both, or certainly for Canalpin. Jim's on that one.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, Jim's on that. Canalpin Tinny, yeah.
It'll be landscape boards.
These are run by the landscape boards.
Oh, yeah, I'll definitely take it on notice. It's not ringing a bell at all.
Right, second question.
The second question is, I queried last month about the street sweeper and the frequency. And when I'm going past, when they were down at Tindalara last month, went past this morning, and the street sweeper's in Canalpin today. Now, surely those two towns would have been done at the same time because the amount of travelling, and what was in the gutters in Canalpin today, I could have swept out in the broom in 10 minutes. So I'm just wondering, shouldn't we have a look at what our process there?
We'll take it on notice, councillor. Look, there's many reasons why things may not be smooth from a contractor's point of view in terms of one town after another. I suspect that's their intention most of the time, but I could imagine there's several occasions when that's not possible, but we'll have a look at what their frequency or their schedule is.
Can I just, through the chair, can I clarify? So are you after schedule of frequency, locations? Is that what you're looking
Well, if you're going to sweep Tintinara, you do Canalpin on the same way because it's not a month apart because it's just the travelling time.
Yeah.
They don't slip at 110 k's an hour.
No. Okay.
Yeah. Yep. So just makes common sense.
Other questions without notice, councillors? Councillor Peach.
Yes, so has any work been done yet on the cost recovery price that will apply to our peak water scheme if the Wellington East proposal is successful?
The short answer is no. So
Okay.
that is on the agenda, and also a discussion with SA Water about the peak system as well.
And what I'll add to that is similar to the work that the work that we did for Wellington East in terms of what the water price was and what was endorsed this year is the first step in that process. So knowing what our expenses are, knowing what we're currently charging, what that shortfall is part of the equation. Also, stormwater, water and wastewater is one of the next asset management plans that need to be updated. That'll help inform that process as well.
Okay.
It's a reason you asked, councillor?
Yes, because we're going from a fairly large scheme between the two to a very small scheme. And I would hate to see that blow out, and particularly in terms of how we apply a cost base to that from the two positions we have in staff that work on water. And just subsequent to that, Mr. Mayor, and just knowing what the CEO just mentioned, what are those discussions with SA Water around peak?
There was some confusion last year about who owned the asset, and that's still an ongoing discussion.
In relation to the pumps?
No. In relation to the scheme.
Just as a sidebar,
Remember, through you,
residents of what I would call the original part of the Peak network, and there was a second street put in about 1995. So it didn't go to the bills, didn't go to them, but they sent a covering note. Since we haven't sent you a bill since 1967. You start paying.
When did they send that?
About a year ago.
About a year
and a
ago.
half ago.
I hope we haven't paid, have we?
No, the residents were
residents.
So we sorted that out.
Far out, Brussels sprout.
Just an SA Water issue. So there is now some to and fro about who really does own it.
I suspect that SA Water will want us to keep it. But
We might expect that they might want to have it. I suppose the position has been, let's try and resolve East Wellington first. Is a general position, one
Better if we got rid of it.
issue at a time. Right, other questions?
And just a question. Did the railways give us any indication that they were going to remove the original pedestrian crossing at Tindanara?
Through the chair, not that I can recall.
Oh, because it's been removed and it's created a hell of a stink down there because of the way that the setup is now. Because that was your access to the post office, and they've changed it all around and just ripped it out.
That's because I have a new.
As in,
Completely removed it.
yeah, well, certainly. As in, the present footpath network doesn't allow people to get to the other side easy.
It does. But if I may ask a further question, they've removed the crossing. There's a path that goes to a drop-off with a cone against it at the moment.
They'll probably leave that with us. But anyway, we'll follow up with them because as you'd be aware, the accident train at Taylor Bend will eventually disappear, and the next sort of challenge is to try and see if we can get an additional pedestrian crossover at Taylor Bend. So we'll continue to talk with them.
Thank you.
Other questions without notice? Okay, I move on. Motions with notice. Can I just start this? Sorry, Councillor Arthur, we have been, obviously, this 3 revocation motions or rescissions would be subject to some advice from the state government around the proposal for the state government reimbursing us for deferring rates. It'd be fair to say that after a meeting last week with the LGA and discussions with with the president of the local government, the minister has been not well in the last few weeks. I did raise it with the deputy premier last night after the meeting at Menengi again, and she promised to follow up. She's doing pretty good. So, saying that, we do not know if the state government will come in and back the LGA's proposal to them. But we don't know.
Well, Mr. Mayor, can I just make a comment? I was going to present these motions to rescind last meeting, but because we'd had nothing from the government, I've held back. And the reason I've put this in is unless, and sometimes you vote for a motion when you read it and it's your heart telling you what it is. And I was thinking the state government were going to pick it up. There's no way in the world that our council can provide that sort of support.
So how about we start I just want to put that in front of us now. So you're going to move
Yep.
1311. Is that?
Yes, I must move that way.
And I'm going to let you speak to it first, actually.
Don't
Sorry?
need a seconder?
I think it'd be fair just to let councillor, I do.
Isn't that changing the process?
Well, I'll ask.
Sometimes we're not allowed to even ask a question until there's a seconder.
Yeah, well, I like to, or I can ask for a seconder now, but sometimes to get a seconder, the motion needs to be explained, and I think this is pretty important. We understand where councillor Arthur's coming from. We are, sorry, councillor Roundtree, sometimes we are a bit.
I just get confused with the
No,
process
well,
because sometimes it goes one way and the other times if we want to ask a
Simple,
question, you shut us down and say, no, we can't ask a question until we've got a seconder.
Well,
And then other times we can ask questions without like it's
well,
time confused.
yeah, I know, we should wait for a seconder. Does someone want a seconder? So I'm looking at it, speaking to Ashley now, can the councillor speak to their motion if it hasn't got a seconder? Or is that my discretion? Sorry, Ash.
When the council is moving, they can speak to their motion.
So just for a purpose, councillor Roundtree, I think for some what I call simple motions or straightforward procedurals, I'd like to get a seconder quickly so we don't forget. Councillor Arthur, I'm going to give you 5 minutes to speak to your motion before we wait a second.
Well, I think that the first motion, rescinding the first motion, 1311, it's okay for us to declare that drought, but the drought is not a word that's used by any government department anymore. So it's probably irrelevant. It's a low rainfall event now, not the drought. So that's the main reason to get rid of that. I recognise what we are trying to help the ratepayers out in the area, but to declare a drought when there's no such word within the federal and state vocabulary anymore is pointless. Thank you.
Okay. I'm just going to ask, just before I look for a seconder, clause 8.2, can I just have an explanation of clause 8.2 of council's debt recovery and financial policy?
So the advice is that we don't have to review or amend this policy, the hardship policy. It really is that top level notion that council can declare, and it doesn't have to be tied to how the state or the Commonwealth describe these things. I think Councillor Peach's motion, when it was made, reflected what the will of the council was at that time, and it really was a description of what was happening across. And then the hardship of provision 8.2 allows that to then have a postponement arrangement in place. It could be any type of natural disaster or any disaster, so it's broad enough, but it doesn't have to be reviewed, Mayor. It's really just giving the staff and the chamber the ability to postpone if they will.
Councillor Roundtree, are you question or speaking to the? Or
I'd like
against the
to
motion?
speak against the motion.
There's no motion yet, I'm afraid.
Okay,
I need a seconder.
all right, fair enough.
I have asked whether the mayor should second this, and I can. But without some feeling from the chamber that that would be worthwhile, I'm not going to. Because I actually think we need to discuss it.
Mr. Mayor, can I move that we suspend meeting procedures
Discuss it.
to discuss it?
Yes, I think you can. Mr. Rosette, is that, are the people happy with that?
That's a better we can speak now.
All right. Well, the silence was killing me, councillors. So it's resolved we suspend meeting for 15 minutes, councillors, till 1:10. You want to start, councillor Peach?
If I may.
Yep.
Okay, I'll you go.
Um,
Mine will go late.
Mr. Mayor, I just would like to deal with something that Councillor Arthur raised in around the word drought. It is something that is used in a federal and state sphere. We have drought hubs. What the federal and state governments have been
are fearful of doing, although I know New South Wales is actually doing it now, is declaring a drought. Because the mechanisms that were put in place over the last few years were designed so that you didn't need a drought declaration, that the processes and procedures were in place, that if it occurred, it worked. Now, Blind Freddie could tell after the last 18 months, it ain't working. So I still support the motion. We are still under drought. Looking at what happened yesterday, like down our way, Tintinara, and further south from Tintinara, things are looking all right, but they're not in the Mallee. They're not up around Kermadoo. They're not on the range. And I don't think we're out of the woods yet. I think we made a statement. We did call the state government out for inaction by doing this, and it had a practical effect. And I still support the intent of what we did. I do understand that that by deferring rates, it does put a bit of extra pressure on, but we're not waiving them. We're not abolishing them. We're not giving a gift here to the extent of the entirety of the rates disappearing. What we're saying is we recognise your immediate financial constraints and we'll give you an opportunity over a period of time to pay them back. And I think only those farmers that and those people that are cognizant of their ability to do that over time will take it up. It's not a freebie. It's a recognition that cash flow might be a problem at the moment, and optimism, I suppose, on their part, based on their previous business experience, that they'll be able to do that going forward and pay it back. So I think it just allows our community flexibility. It allows those that are struggling in the immediate to not have us add to that burden. And I'll continue to support it on that basis.
That's a Rountree.
Along the same lines, declaring a drought and offering temporary deferments for primary producers and the industries that support them recognises the extreme challenges faced by the backbone of our local economy. Now, what I'm saying actually is to all of the three motions, I think the background presented by Councillor Arthur is the same in all, so this applies to all of them. Supporting those who keep our region employed and viable is not only compassionate but also fiscally responsible, because if our primary producers and the supporting industries collapse, the long-term cost to the entire community will be far greater. Council has a duty to balance its budget, but it also has a duty to lead in times of crisis. The drought is not over. The modest deferment so far, and it's only a deferment, they still have to pay, does not threaten our capacity, I believe, to provide the services to ratepayers. But it does demonstrate that we are a council that stands by its community in times of need. So I will not be supporting any three of these motions.
Okay. Four other councillors might want to speak. Councillor Quam and then Councillor Maben.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Councillor Arthur makes some good points here, and I agree with. I get a bit worried about any implication regarding our cash flow. I just think, though, maybe the removing these motions or making would be detrimental to our reputation, because we've already indicated to our Prime Minister what our intentions are to help him out, and then maybe it's a bit early to change, because I think we're weathering the storm quite well. We probably haven't felt the effects of cash shortage yet, so I would think maybe we can take some look at this further down the track, say January, February, when we know how, if we have a rewardable yield from our harvest or some things like that, the economy is travelling a little bit better. And but if it isn't, we'll might have to make some dire steps to rearrange and so to affect our cash flow. So so I think this is probably a bit early. I would rather see this happening, if it were, in February, March next year, if need be. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Maben.
Thank you, Mayor. I agree with most of what's been said today. I also think it's premature of us to get rid of these drought declaration. And just at the moment, I think we need to hear from, if we are going to get any more support from state and federal governments before we revoke these motions. And I guess they'll always be going to be revoked at some point in the future. I just think it's a little early at this point.
And thank you. And we just note the CEO's comment in each of these, that when council declares the drought has ceased, Grace period of 30 days will be provided for the postponement applications to be submitted to council. Councillor Bland.
I also won't be supporting these motions. I think it's premature. Well, and I do think that we need to give a little bit more time. We as a council area have some major issues in all forms of drought. We've got a long time to go yet. I accept that we don't necessarily have any spare funding in a bucket, and we may have to do a serious look at some of the trimming over the next short period of time to assist. However, it's a little premature to pull it. So I won't be voting.
Since we're in an open session, Councillor Arthur, you can add.
No, I just, I do want these motions put, even if they're not seconded, so that the ratepayers to know what the thoughts of the council alls are. So I will ask all those motions be put, even if they're not seconded.
Well, they can't be put if they're not seconded. That's probably my first position.
Well, they're recorded in the minutes.
So just hang on. I'm just looking at Ashley. Cannot. That's the point. So I'm not going to put a motion that's not seconded. All right. Councillor Mayman, yeah, we've still got some time.
Just a very
It's
quick
important
one.
to discuss it.
If the motion's lapsed, does it mean that reading the minute later on for the public's benefit that we didn't really discuss it? Or would they take it as being that we're not interested? Maybe we should second it and then vote on it for the council's perspective. Just putting that across pretty much sounds like it's not going to get up anyway. And if that's the case, I'm happy to second it for the public's ability to see that we actually discussed and made a true decision on it.
Councillors, I've indicated I've spent too much time considering whether because I am able to second, but I'd rather not. And I'd much rather look at you, Councillor Dow, someone seconded it and I've heard many councillors in my time say that they won't support it, but they'll second it for the purpose of the debate.
Well, I'm happy to do that.
So that I just leave that with you as a group. Given that we're on a live stream and the minute mightn't quite reflect it, but the minute suspended, we suspended procedures so we could discuss it. I think with the public. So we'll just that's how can the minute add a suspension for discussion. That's what I'll say. I think.
Yeah, that's suspension.
That's the issue. So there's two options there. Once. And the second one is someone seconds it for the purpose of not voting for it or voting for it. You never know. I've seen people change their minds on debate before. But it is important that we've had this discussion. And I think what Councillor Arthur is saying is quite important about the financial capacity of this council if this gets worse, like the drought gets worse and more people take it up than we perhaps anticipated, or that we haven't been backed by the state. Right, Councillor. Sorry, yeah.
I just wanted to concur with exactly what you said, Mr. Mayor, that the importance of recorded in the minutes, that we actually did have a discussion on it. We didn't just, and I understand what Councillor Bayman says, so that it reinforces it a lot better to our community.
Everyone's had Councillor Bland, sorry.
Just in relation to that comment then, is there any problem with this, the Mayor resumed the standing orders at 1X following significant discussion with councillors and their opinions?
To the chair.
Comes commentary on a minute, really.
Yeah, when we tidy this, the suspension will note that you've had an informal discussion about this.
I think significant is the word I was trying to use. If I'm
I don't think you could probably.
Yeah, we just got to be factual in the minute recording. So I reflect on that. And if one of you was of the view that you could at least second it, that would be useful. I think, no disrespect, Councillor, to your first motion will probably signal things, but that's all right. I'd much rather, as you would, have it voted upon. Okay, if everyone's finished in the suspended orders, have we? Okay, I'm going to end that now at 1:05. That was quite good of you. We resume. I'm going to ask again for a seconder. I'm on a countdown clock in my head, councillors.
Think like that.
You did indicate, councillor
I
Bay,
did.
but I'm sorry, looks like I'm
Did.
putting pressure on you, but I'm not.
No, that's fine. But having had further discussion about being noted that it was discussed, I think that it's not getting
Okay.
a seconder. It tells other people that we're not going to do it. So
So, all right, okay.
I'm
So that-
happier.
So
than I
I'm
was.
taking the motion stands with councillor Maben as the seconder, and I think since you're the seconder, you're entitled to speak for 5 minutes if you wish.
No,
That's not,
No, that's
no, I
what we
said I'm
said.
happy to leave it as is now that we've had the discussion.
She's
A
not second.
further,
You're not a seconder.
no,
I thought you had your hand up for long enough for me to.
no, because you sort of stared at me and I said, stop staring at me.
Oh, is that what it was?
Yes, that's what I meant.
I'm sorry.
I know I'm confusing the issue, but
Sorry, we just cross all that out.
sorry.
I understand everyone's feeling. So councillor Arthur, the motion lapses for want of a seconder.
Yep.
We'll move to the next item. 13.1.2. Move it. You want to move that?
Yep.
Someone want to second that, please? I'm going to say that's lapsed for want of a seconder.
Keep going.
No, I'm wrong. I'm making sure I write it down, councillor.
I'll have a motion to
Yeah.
listen to.
And the third one, you want to do the same?
Yep, I'll move that way.
Yep, that's fine. Sorry, councillor Mamet, for me look like
No, that's
undue
fine.
pressure on you.
No, that's fine. I just, yeah, it was confusing.
Yeah, the waving part, yeah. One last chance, councillors, to be a seconder. Okay. Sorry, councillor, that's lapsed for want of a seconder. We move on. 13.2, motions without notice.
Mr Mayor, I'd like to move that the council provide an indicative effect of the cost of rate deferments of 10%, 20%, 30%, and projects and maintenance that will be affected.
When you say, sorry, councillor, I just need to tighten this up a bit, 10, 20, 30% of rural rate revenue or rural rate revenue?
I've kept it low so, because 70% of the rates are rural anyway.
Yeah, I understand.
And you've also got your auxiliaries, which is your farm supply centres, all those sort of things, as per number 3. So
Percentage of.
there's probably 80% of your rates be affected.
You're saying, but no, we need to be clear on this.
Yeah, 10% of the total, yeah.
The range you want is the total rates we collect by
Yes.
fixed charge and capital rate in the dollar.
Yep.
You want an indicative percent, just you want to report on that, and the second part, sorry, since we're doing on the run.
I'm not clear, sorry. What are we
yeah.
actually asking?
Oh, and the effect,
Potential effect.
yeah,
Potential effect.
indicate the effect of
Second part
a
of
deferral.
on a capital and
Hang on.
operating budgets. Yeah, that's right.
Council provide an indicative effect of the deferment of rates by 10%, 20%, 30%, and the projects and maintenance that will be affected by the reduced revenue.
Operational, yep. How are we going?
That's only a portion.
Oh, righto. We're still in the same motion.
If council were to proceed with the budget as presented, what would the feelings of the LGAFA finance regarding borrowings?
I think the words feelings come into it, or the position
Of
of.
what, provision, yeah.
It seems like a multi-layered.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, I'm taking it as one motion at this stage. So, trying to make work.
Finance Authority. Correct. Thank you, Ashley.
So councillor, I'm going to move that. I'm going to say you're going to make a second motion out of that. It's too far apart from the first.
Okay.
And
I'm
I'm
the first one.
giving you a fair bit of leeway because you have deferred this for a month and you've raised it in motions without notice. And as councillors, I would not normally say that we could consider this today, but we have had time to consider the process of where we're at. So I don't think this is unreasonable at this stage. So let's start with the first one, councillor. Is Councillor Arthur, you're sort of clear on, I want to do it as.
Yep. The first one is because if we proceed with this, I don't know how many we've got at the present moment, and talking to a lot of people, they're humming and hawing about things. Some people actually have probably come out of this pretty well because they've had to get rid of stock at a good price, but they've got to go back into it, and their cash flow won't be very flash for a long time. Others who have had to keep stock have spent a lot of money on feeding them up. Their reduction, their deferment of rates directly affects. If we just say, for example, the $10 million rates, 10%, that's $1 million that we don't have to spend. Where are we going to reduce our expenditure by? I know the first thing that'll happen, they'll say take it off roads. That's normally the way that the thinking of council's been.
We won't say that. What we will say.
Well, it has been, that's, yeah. So we really need to get a process from the staff on how it's going to affect the council overall.
Okay. So you spoke to your first one.
Yes.
Right. There a seconder?
Actually, I'll second that. I wouldn't mind seeing that.
Thank you,
Give this
councillor
time.
Maidment. You want to speak to it?
Other than I wouldn't mind seeing those figures.
Yep.
So, no.
Okay, it's open for a debate.
Mr Mayor,
Each.
not speaking for or against at the moment, but just a question. It's a question around the long-term financial plan then as well, given we're looking at deferment over 3 years. So if we were going to proceed with it, it needs to be not just about the budget, but also about when the money returns to the business. Would be my thought on it.
Could I suggest to you, Mayor, that maybe to Councillor Peach's point, the projects and maintenance, we would come back to you with a list of suggestions. If it's 10%, this is the value. If it's 20%, this is the value. Where do you want to put or take away projects or the maintenance? The projects are probably 9 times out of 10 capital, so we would be coming back to you anyway. If for completeness, you may want to ask that what is the long-term impact, or what are the long-term impact on the long-term financial plan, not long-term impact, what is the impact on the long-term financial plan? So if from your previous discussion, there was comments that the motions of Councillor Arthur were premature and you want it back for discussion after we bring you this, it's probably timely that we would craft a long-term financial plan around February, March that would build in this type of percentage, because by that stage we would know what the pattern, I suppose, of claiming is, if that makes sense. So February, March to review the long-term financial plan was always on the cards anyway, but we would be adding in the impact of this motion and the trends that were occurring on the claimants against the rates. That makes sense.
Okay. Councillor Bland.
A question in why we chose, through you, Mr Mayor, to Councillor Arthur, why 10, 20, 30%? What are they arbitrary figures, or is there some
Indicative.
logic? That the only, so we could have 40% in there.
You could, but
I mean, once
need to
you're-
move to the motion, so
You're running the figures.
I would think that would be a reasonable starting.
I don't want to send staff back to do it twice.
Mayor, can I ask the staff would have an idea now of how much deferment has been asked for without knowing the number. Do we have an idea of what percentage out of the total rates we're going to achieve, which I think is around 7 million? How much of what's been asked for now as a percentage? I've done some rough numbers and I'm getting around 4 to 5%, which is why I said what I said before. A 4 to 5% kind of reduction is manageable within our budget and long-term financial plan.
So through you, Mayor, I can give you the actual figures to date, if that's what you're asking.
Well, if you've got, I wasn't going to ask you for it, but I had done some.
We have had
It's just the dollars, I think.
total postponements so far over 57 assessments is $459,439.
Right. And out of the total rates of 7 million, is that what we're looking to bring in?
I'd rather do that proper calculation for you.
Okay.
than
Well, as a percentage, it's a large number it's a scary number when you think about it, but as a percentage of what we get in, it's actually not a huge number. And it ought to be workable within our budget to, we may have to look at projects later on and things like that, but it's not going to cripple this council to have offered the generosity of deferred payments, because the money will come in. It's just not going to come in the financial year we were hoping it would come in.
So it could be spread over 2 financial years.
Yeah, yeah.
Sorry, just
So the
clarify.
pain's not as big as what it's being made out to be.
Is for the 409,439 is over 2, or is over.
That's what's been postponed, and your motion and the hardship
Is over
provision
2
spread that
years.
over 2 years.
Okay, so it's the total. Okay.
So we're actually in some version of debate now.
You want me to close this then?
Well, I'm very close to it or something.
Yes, mate.
No, I'm quite happy to look at the figures.
Just been asked whether we can just add to this motion, add a sort of an end point of when that report would be due by December.
I'll make one more comment.
Mover and
Yeah,
second,
yeah,
happy that
can
by
do it, yeah.
December, the report. Yep, they'll put that in place. Yes, Bridget.
I suppose the only other, and the director had mentioned, the question assumes that there won't be any borrowings against this deferment if the state government doesn't come to the party. Remembering, and so we will build that in terms of the impact to say that if there's $1 million lost through rates, that the capacity of the council to borrow $1 million is or isn't available to you. So we'll make a comment on the borrowing capacity, and it probably goes back to Councillor Arthur's second question about the LGFA view of it. So we'll try and have a wholesome answer that looks at the borrowings if they are necessary to maintain even the core parts of the business, because the bigger the number of deferments, the more potential on core business where you may or may not be able to manage or use quickly.
Is that work already in progress? You are already looking and have already made inquiries to the local government finance authority?
Because we have, currently our borrowings are okay.
Yeah, we don't need to worry
Yep.
about it. Yeah.
Well, I'm not sure we don't have to worry about it, but we certainly, they're okay at the moment.
Okay.
Out of the borrowings, we're only using one CAD at the moment. And that changes from time to time.
So there's no one else speaking for or against the motion. Go to councillor Arthur on his first motion to close.
Mr Mayor, I'd just like, by saying I'll close, don't forget that's only the first quarter. There still can be deferments on rates from now on. So, and I know there's probably a lot that will be deferring. They'll pay the first quarter, but they may not be paying the second and the third quarter. So until the final year so it's virtually nearly $500,000 already. So our capacity to handle that is not that good, in my opinion. I might be wrong. So that is why I would like to see those scenarios.
Okay, everyone's clear. Moved to councillor Arthur and seconded by councillor Moment that council be provided with a report by December 25 on the indicative effect of council's rate postponements, therefore as a percentage of total rates of 10, 20 and 30%. The projects and maintenance that may be affected by. I'm going to put, can I just change that to a reduced budget? Sorry, Tanya, if I can, councillor Moment.
Sorry, Mayor, can we move by December 2025 to the end of the sentence? It makes more sense. Sorry, it's just the way I read it. Because that's all right with you.
Yeah, fine.
Yeah.
Be provided, a report on an indicative effect, et cetera, by December 2025.
Thank you for the, I know when we rework it.
Sorry.
So council has not reduced its budget, hasn't changed its original budget at this stage. I might be really clear around that. Everyone understands that. Right. Everyone clear on the motion? Put the motion. All those in favour? Those against? Motion is carried. So the motion is carried with councillors Arthur, Maidment, Bland and Qualman voting for it. Councillors Roundtree and Peach voting against it.
There are the LGFA supposed to be being asked for.
Right. We have a second motion proposed by councillor Arthur. Sorry, I'm writing this down because it's important.
Move that one.
You're moving that one that moved by you that a report be provided regarding local government finance authorities' view in relation to funding council if council was not to proceed the budget as presented.
No, we're to proceed with the budget as presented.
Was to
Except
proceed
for
with the budget.
the income, with the reduced income.
Just with the budget as presented. I think you understand the context of that. Yeah, sorry.
Were to proceed.
Were to proceed, sorry, yeah.
Question.
Yeah.
I'm not clear exactly on why are we asking the LGFA at this point. I understand that but given we don't have the information in relation to the previous motion, what do we actually ask them? We don't really have, unless we're presenting scenarios to them and what we may or may not want from them about our borrowings, I'm assuming.
Well, I think now the motion, if it gets seconded, would be proposing to say if council proceeded with the budget as adopted, the 5-6 budget, and did not receive X amount of dollars, what is LGFA's view of that?
Well, I think that as it stands now, as anyone reading that, for me, it's not clear if I was reading that.
Not clear to me either.
Could we just?
Well, I'm in the hands of the mover and the floor. I'm trying to at least get it clear in my head.
Also got an audit committee.
The reason I've put this motion, it was a couple of meetings ago, we were presented with some very small community loans. And we were emphasised by the finance manager at that stage that, you know, like there's not much money available and we've got to watch our money. And these were only a $50,000 and a $20,000 loan. So maybe that's what I want to find out, is the ability for the council to go to the local finance authority and borrow money. If we can't go to the, say we're $2 million short, we can't go to the finance authority and borrow $2 million. That was a completely different complex on the whole thing.
That's answering that question. Okay. Now, we are very close to the next group of the public coming in the room for something else. So I'm going to ask someone to second that, otherwise it'll lapse.
Also slightly, that.
Yeah.
Regardless of whether it's put or not, the last word needs to be changed from presented to adopted. We're talking about the current financial year.
As adopted, yeah.
Yep. It has to refer back to the previous motion somehow. So if we're to proceed with the budget as adopted in light of reduced income due to rate deferment or something like that. Is that?
You made that motion would only be of use if the council wanted to borrow more money. And I would suggest that at that point in time, better time to approach the LGFA than as a precautionary approach.
Right. Well,
mate, look, just in answer to that, if no rates are paid next quarter, are we going to have the cash to be able to keep going? I would say no.
I think the risk of no rates being paid next quarter are very low.
I know it is, but there's always a scenario. It's like you don't go and buy a house before you get your finance fixed up. Just on a different thing.
Councillor, right, I'm going to have to truncate this a little bit. Is there a second? We are going to have to wind it down a bit. Five seconds left.
That will be recorded even though it's not seconded. Thank you. That's good.
Motion lapsed for want of a seconder. Councillors, we need to adjourn, defer, adjourn. Formal motion? No.
And then pick it up again.
We pick it up. You want a time now? So it was Kelly.
Yeah, we're going to move Kelly.
Kelly.
Mr. Mayor, I could be free at 4:30. Tied up from 4 to 4:30.
We can move Kelly, so I think it's important that we. So Kelly is at 2:30, is that right?
Yep.
I'm well aware that my tummy's rumbling, councillors. So could I have a formal motion that the meeting be adjourned until and adjourned at 2:30? Move councillors Bland and
Roundtree?
well, no, Qualman, no, you brain fog. Adjourned, formal motion till 2:30. All those in favour? Those against, that's carried unanimously. We just grab quickly. Can we hold those kids out for 5 minutes? Can grab whatever lunch we're going to have. It's going to be a bit untidy.
Hey, can I ask you to stop the video, please?
Thank you, everyone, and welcome back. And I apologise for being late. We've had a very important presentation we had to squeeze in. So I am in motions without notice still, councillors? Are there any others? There is none. We'll move on to this count. Questions out of the minute action list, please. Councillor Qualman.
Yes, thank you, Mr Mayor. By recent emails and that, and it's in regard to 231/24, the proposed disposal surplus assets, tunnel and bend trains. Could we just have an update exactly where we're at with that?
You, Mayor, nothing has changed from that email I sent out probably a week or so ago now. We have the invoice, we have, I think, the payment through the auction site. I think the purchaser is now working out how to actually remove them with ARTC. His intention, as far as I understand, is to do it in one movement by bringing a crane that's suitable for the task and a series of trucks so that he can do it within one movement. So, but we know no more about that then.
That's interesting, and I suppose it's a closure on something a little bit personal to me, but so be it. And it's the time to move on, and I'm glad we come to some closure on it in the end, Mr Mayor.
Certainly are. Certainly are. No cost for, minimal cost to council.
That was very good.
Yeah, it's a sad end, but it isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, other questions from the minute action, councillors?
120, 125 Bendigo Bank, just wondering where that's at with it due this month.
I'll take it on notice. I haven't got an update. I know that we were waiting for a template that LGA was developing around a contract like that, rather than reinvent the wheel, but I don't really know where that's up to. Oh, there you go. There is an update. Bendigo Bank have got it for signing. We're just waiting for it to get back.
Cool.
Other questions, councillors? Okay, there is no more. For those watching the live stream, please be advised the meeting's about to move into confidence. The live stream will stop. If you wish to view the end of the meeting, the video will be available on YouTube after today's meeting. (3:14), I declare this meeting closed. You want me to repeat that? Meeting is closed at 3:14. 15.